was terrible. Taylor was terrible tonight. I thought that on most nights, a couple of out of the three, there's one or two that just fucked the game up. The game up, and it's been like that a couple games in a row.
Morning, everybody. What the? Oh. No, there we go. Hey, everyone. How the heck are you? And you? And you?
Arch, you still have echo, Arch?
Oh, no, that was on my laptop volume was on. We're on in 5. Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Little bit of a football Friday. Hope your week has gone well. Thanks for being with us. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mark off again today. He'll be back on Monday. Young Felipe in the house. No hat to hide the hair on this Friday. So for those of you that want to chime in on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, you're getting him well on full display. And I will say, he looks a little better than he did yesterday. I think he got some rest, some chicken noodle soup, little tea, little lemon. All right, you went old school, I think, and hopefully you can make it. You probably won't make it through all 4 hours. I mean, yesterday you got to about 8:15. You were a wreck after that. We carried you to the finish line. I'm hoping you can make it to about 9 o'clock today.
I think I have enough fluid today. I have a cup of emergency. I have coffee and a Celsius. So we're cracked up today.
And remember, we do have spring water on the other side of the building.
Right. Nice spring water.
Can never go wrong with water, by the way. Just when in doubt, all right, eliminate the carbonation. And that's easy for me to say as somebody who used to drink about 150 ounces of that stuff a day. I could make the argument, and I don't know if there are 9 people in the country who would go along with me on this, but in many ways, outside of the very first round of the tournament, so that Thursday, Friday, first round, yesterday was probably my third favorite college basketball day of the year. The first round of the tournament, that Thursday, Friday, that's the best. I mean, are we going to get an upset? And if so, who's the darling? How many of them can we get? Is it just going to be one team that we're celebrating? Or are we, jumping up and down because our brackets are totally blown up and we celebrate? It's the only time we celebrate losing money in this country is the first 2 days of the tournament. All right. I donated $20, $50, whatever it was, $5, whatever my sheet cost. It's blown up 8 hours in, and I'm thrilled. Can't wait to watch more. But yesterday to me, particularly this year, because the bubble is supposed to have no more than 10 teams. You got 4 to 5 that are on the good side, 4 to 5 who are on the bad side. I feel as if the bubble this year has 18 teams. And so because of it, there were so many games that had real meaning yesterday. And the funny thing is, Felipe, so many of the bubble teams lost. And I'm wondering, did so many lose that teams like early in the day who lost, who are out, by midnight might have been back in because so many other teams had fallen? And I'm thinking about really the day before. I mean, I'm wondering, have so many bubble teams lost that Wisconsin is possibly backing their way back into this thing? It's possible. I don't think so. I think, 27 losses is enough to keep you out of this year's tournament. But, man, the bubble is, to me, fascinating. I love it. To me, there's two parts to the tournament. One, can you get in it? And then two, can you just get out of the first round? And so to me, yesterday was the biggest can you get in it day of the year.
The NCAA is so spread out this year. The college basketball realm, it's pretty incredible. I mean, have we ever seen anything like this?
Yeah, we do. I mean, you could argue it's more mediocre, and it gets more mediocre every year. I think the talent's more spread out than ever before. It's why you've seen, and I'm just going to say in our Twitch chat room, we're hearing that we're echoing on some of our platforms. So I don't know if there's a button that needs to be pressed or what have you. But if you think about it, if you go back to 10 years ago, which in Southwest Florida is remembered very fondly, when a 15 seed went to the Sweet 16. Well, we've had 3 15s go to the Sweet 16 in the last 10 years. And last year we had 1 go to the Elite 8. Now think about that. All right. We'd never had it before. Ever. And the tournament went to 64 teams in the mid 80s. I believe 85 was the first year that the tournament went to 64. So we did from 1985 through 2012. We did 28 NCAA tournaments. We never had a 15 seed make it to the Sweet 16. In the last 10, and really 9, because one of them got canceled, in the last 9 NCAA tournaments, we've had 3 15s go to the Sweet 16. One of them went to the Elite 8. So I do think you can make the case, whether it's more mediocrity or there's just more talent that's spread out than ever before.
It's probably that. I mean, the game just gets better every year.
Well, that's one way to argue it. Others would argue it actually gets worse every year, that the elite talent doesn't go to college anymore. And if it does, it stays an hour. Okay. And that, to me, would be the argument that I would make, that the top end of the sport is not nearly what it used to be. I mean, Felipe, to have a 15 seed win a game when FGCU beat Georgetown 10 years ago, I believe they were the 7th 15 to ever win a game. I believe when I did it that I said they were either number 7 or number 8 to ever win a game. Ever. Okay. If you think about it, since then, we've not only had at least 2 more win games. Okay. We've had at least 2 more do what they did, which had never been done before. And I think it's because the big boys aren't as big. They're just not as good. I mean, if you look, and there's a reason that every sport has its golden age. And the 80s and the 90s, like Jay Billis the other day was talking about the best Duke teams of all time. And he said simply, the 92 team was ridiculous. And it's, 30 years, which is either a really long time or, yeah, it's a while ago, but I can still remember it, depending on how old you are. Like for you, hell, it's more than you are old. But I mean, imagine a team today of Christian Laettner, Grant Hill, Bobby Hurley, Cherokee Parks off the bench, okay, Thomas Hill, and I can go on and on. And by the way, that team should have lost in the Elite 8.
To who?
Kentucky in our okay. But I mean, and that team barely won it. Barely. Struggled to get by a tremendous Big Ten champion in Indiana with Alan Henderson and a couple of others. And then obviously played the Fab Five in the championship game. And if you look at the teams in the Elite Eight, Jamal Mashburn on that Kentucky team that got beat. All right, that the last great Bobby Knight team, by the way, the 92 Hoosiers who went to the Final Four. He had another team go to the Sweet 16, but that was his last great team, was the 92 Hoosiers team. The teams that are going to be the number one seeds this year, honestly, a generation ago would have been 4 seeds. They just would have. And that's why I think the tournament can be crazier now, in a sense, because 14s and 15s can truly show up and win games. And realistically, you couldn't win a game a generation or so ago. And now they're like, oh, yeah, hell, we can beat these guys.
But isn't that what we want as fans, to see that? Or do we want the same story every time? The powerhouse doing what the powerhouse does.
The ratings have clearly shown we want both. All right.
Which is what we get, really, kind of.
It depends if you get the right ones. We want the upsets. The upsets create the excitement. It's kind of like going to Vegas. You want to start winning early. That keeps you around the table. That gathers more people around the tables. Hey, they're winning. Let's go over there. Let's throw the dice there. Hey, this blackjack table, everybody's winning. You got screaming and yelling over there. What's going on? That's the upsets. But then the ratings show we don't want Butler in the Final Four. We don't. I can show you the ratings of Butler in the Final Four. Only when they're playing Duke do people watch. Otherwise, UConn Butler, worst rated thing ever. Butler Duke, people rooting for it because they wanted to see him beat Duke. So at the end of the day, like last year,
we
had Kansas, Duke, and Carolina. Now there you go. That's Final Four.
And then you had St. Peter's in the Elite Eight.
Peter's Elite Eight.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So last year was a perfect example. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Damn near.
Last year was a phenomenal tournament.
And this year, in theory, could be better.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's not a favorite. There's not a favorite. Every single one seed you could look at and go, oh, they could lose. Now, I don't know if they could lose to a 16. Okay, but you look at them after the first round and you go, oh, yeah, they could lose. Absolutely. Because also, look at all the teams that are going to be 7 through 10 and what have you. They've all got 10 to 13 losses, but in amongst their 20 wins, they've all taken down probably one of the top 5 teams in the country at some point in time. But I loved yesterday. I just did. I loved it. I loved it. Seems like no lead is safe anymore. You can't hit free throws, so you can't close out games. So when you play the foul game, like, Miami and Wake, you could be up 7 with 30 seconds to go, and you have to survive a half-court shot to win if you're Miami. I mean, and that's just in the ACC tournament. I can only imagine what you would have been like if that was a first-round NCAA tournament game.
Because in March, there's like a 50-50 chance that's going.
I am going to make 8 blanket bets right now. I'm taking all 4 12s and all 4 13s. I'm taking them. Actually, I'm going to make 16 bets. I'm going to take them all straight up.
Wow.
And I'm going to take them all with the points.
Wow.
Because I think the 12s and the 13s are going to be loaded with the Old Dominions and the Drakes of the country, and they're going to win games. And think of who the 4s and the 5s are going to be. By the way, Miami's going to be a 4 or 5. I'll tell you what, I'm more worried for Miami in the first round than I am in the Sweet 16 when they play a big boy. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I think the echo's good. I think it's because I had my computer volume on, so
Gotcha.
my mic was on.
Gotcha. Yeah, that would cause it.
Yeah, for sure. I like that though, even though I hate that.
What do you
for
mean?
Miami, but I like those bets. By the way,
I'm terrified for Miami in the first round. I think the 4s and the 5s are all going to have really difficult first round draws.
well, Miami could
And
just,
if they can get by them, though, like I think Miami as a 4-5 is going to be a nightmare for a 1 seed in the Sweet 16. A nightmare.
well, Miami could just win the ACC also.
Well, but like we asked Shelby and one other, if can Miami get to the 3 line? And he's like, I don't know if they can.
Even if they win the ACC,
We asked.
that's
asked.
ridiculous, though. That is ridiculous.
But remember that conference tournaments don't have the value that, to the committee. And this, Shelby could be wrong.
Look at their wins. Look at their record.
I agree.
Like, come on.
I think if Miami wins the ACC, they should be a 3.
What makes you a 1? Gonzaga's always a 1.
Not this year. They'll be a 3 or a 4.
Well, I'm saying in previous years. I think people are just sleeping on the Canes. Basketball school. No longer football school.
And Arch, we don't want to see him cutting down the nuts. You're right.
Do we want Alabama to win the title? Oh, boy. No. They can have their football titles.
RCB, I forget what year it was. There was a year where we had virtually no upsets, but every first round game seemingly went down to the final minute. But all the seeded teams that should win won. And I think we're going to have a slew of upsets, but I do think we're going to have a first round where seemingly with 90 seconds to go, every game's within 3. Neutral court, in theory, neutral officiating. There's virtually nothing separating Team 20 from Team 50. Nothing, in my opinion, this year. here, like, I'll give you an example. I believe tonight Virginia and Clemson are playing in an ACC semifinal. Virginia's seen as a top 4 seed. Clemson is on the bubble. Most people have them just out. The spread's 4. It's a neutral court game. What the hell happened to my screen?
Wrong remote. Smaller one right there. You know, Adam, I was thinking about bringing 4 jerseys and just wearing a different jersey per hour. I almost brought 12 jerseys and wore a different jersey per segment. I have that many jerseys. I have more. It's a problem. My kids will thank me, though. We're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour on this Friday morning. Thanks so much for being with us. Nice show lined up for you, if we do say so ourselves. Bobby Reagan next hour, talk a little college hoops. Pat Kirwan, talk a little football in our 8 o'clock hour. Mark will be back on Monday. Young Felipe feeling a little bit better in the house with the dew. All right. And the curls are flowing and his Heat jersey on. Looks like a Heat practice jersey. It's ridiculous.
No, this is a white hot jersey. 2013.
I hate the white hot stuff. I really do. For goodness sakes, your colors are red and black.
No.
Wear them.
This is our playoff campaign.
Oh, please.
They wore these in the 12-13 season.
And besides, you can't say we. Okay. You've never been part of a team picture. You can't say we.
Miami.
That's how
their
it
franchise's best season of all time.
Gotcha. The starting 5 coming up in about 15 minutes time. I will say my favorite story from yesterday is probably an NFL story, which is really an NBA story disguised with helmet and shoulder pads. Anybody paying attention yesterday to Zadarius Smith from the Vikings? He took to social media and thanked everybody associated with the Vikings organization and the Viking fan base yesterday and said it was really fun. I enjoyed it. Yeah, the Vikings didn't release him. The Vikings say they have no plans to release him. Zadarius Smith apparently wants to be released. And so he's acting as if he's done. The Vikings are like, well, that's cute, but we're not going to release you. You've got 2 years left on the contract, and you're a pass rushing end who gets double-digit sacks. Guys like you are not easy to find. So I don't know what you're doing. And he's like, no. I don't want to be here anymore.
So did Minnesota just change their minds?
No, the story is exactly how I just described it. So Darius Smith is trying to pull what an NBA player would do. He's just trying to say, I want out. And in the NBA, when you're a player of any note, really, but if you have any weight behind you, in the NBA, when you say you want out, the team eventually cowers in the corner and gets rid of you. In the NFL, they go, what the hell are you talking about?
So when it was reported.
No, there's nothing reported. It's that simple. He has decided he's done with the Vikings. The Vikings, when asked about it, are like, I don't know what the heck he's doing. We're not getting rid of him. And he's like, no, I'm done. I'm not playing here anymore. And they're like, no, you got 2 years left on your contract. We ain't cutting you. But here's the funny thing. Zadarius also can do the math. Everybody has to be cap compliant by lunchtime Wednesday. The Vikings are like 15, 17 million over the cap. They are talking about cutting longtime safety Harrison Smith. And that would get them to right around the cap number. You know what else would get them to right around the cap number? Cutting Zadarius Smith. It would save them around 13 million. So Zadarius is doing the math. And in a nutshell, here's the deal. He's around 30. He's got 2 years left on his contract. Neither year is guaranteed. So the Vikings' intent is to keep him, and therefore he'll get paid for next year. But he's basically going year to year, and if he gets hurt this year or he doesn't have a good year, the Vikings can get rid of him, and he won't get a dime. And he'll have to go on the market coming off an injury or a bad year and what have you. And what Zadarius wants to do is he wants that one last contract, and he wants to go into the market now and get a 4-year deal with, say, 3 years guaranteed. And he can guarantee like 30, 40 million bucks. And then it doesn't matter what happens to him in the latter part of his career. He at least knows he's got that money coming. So this is a business decision from Zadarius. I mean, Zadarius didn't make it sound as if he hated it, and remember, they got rid of the defensive coordinator. All right. They're making changes. So even if he was unhappy with the scheme and what have you, which he likely wasn't, considering he had a really good year, but they're going to make changes anyway. And in theory, the changes would go better. So either way, this is an NBA play in the NFL.
Okay, I understand. That's true.
I mean, this is, I don't want to be here anymore. Get rid of me. And this is the team going, what the heck are you talking about? You're a good player.
Your contract says 2 more years.
Well, it does. And you're going, yeah, but neither of them's guaranteed. And the team's like, well, our intention is to keep you for next year. That'll make next year guaranteed. So we're really only talking about 1 year here. And you're going, yeah, but I don't want to be here. And the team's like, what the hell are you talking about? You don't want to be here. You had a really good year. You just said how much you liked it. Like the team, you like the coaches, you like the fans. What's your problem, dude?
I mean,
in the NBA, we all know how this would end. He'd be gone. Eventually, he'd be gone. You pout long enough in the NBA, for whatever reason, teams cave. I mean, look at KD and Kyrie. They all pouted during the summer. All right. The Nets, they kept a stiff upper lip for about 6 months. And then sure enough, what happened? Those two guys went to him again and said, remember what we said during the summer? Yeah, that's how we still feel. And guess what? They're both gone.
Well,
In the NBA, it usually happens within 30 to 60 days. Sometimes it takes 150. Right? This is the NFL. And there's a deadline. Wednesday. They got to be cap compliant. I give Zadarius Smith all the credit in the world. This doesn't normally work in the NFL. You need a deadline. You need some urgency. He's saying to the Vikings, hey, in 5 days, you're going to cut Harrison Smith, a Ring of Honor guy. I mean, Harrison Smith's going to get honored before the decade is out with a game in his honor in Vikings history. He's been an all-time great. He's arguably the second best safety in franchise history.
I that's who I confused at the start of the segment, by the way. But I just want to say, and I'm no expert, but the problem might be that he is a Pro Bowl linebacker.
Yes,
on one of the worst defenses in the NFL.
Correct. And obviously we know what the deal is here. He's got 2 years left on a deal, neither of which is guaranteed. He wants a 5-year deal with 3 of the 5 guaranteed. Of course, who doesn't? We all want that. And so he's trying to use some leverage, and he's giving the Vikings the impression, just so you know, if you don't do this by Wednesday, I'm going to hold out and I'm going to be a problem. And I'm telling you, I've played my last down for you. All right. You keep me past Wednesday. I count on the cap until you cut me, which is what I want. Okay. Or give me permission to talk to a team that wants me, which is, once again, how this could play out. He may not get what he wants by Wednesday, but what he publicly said to the Vikings yesterday was, I'm not playing for you again. You want to try to win this and keep me past Wednesday and cut Harrison Smith and anyone else that you have to cut. Okay, fine. But I'm not showing up for any of the workouts, and I'm not showing up for training camp. And what's going to happen is the teams that miss out on getting a pass rusher are eventually going to call you in July and August and go, hey, you interested in trading that Zadarius Smith? And then I'm going to work out the contract with them that I want to work out. So once again, Zadarius Smith is saying to the Vikings, I know you think you've got hand, but I'm trying to tell you I've got the hand.
You know what he's telling the Vikings, right?
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
You're done.
We're done.
Delivery was perfect. I messed it up. Wow.
Can't wait for the play of the day. Coming up next hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com. Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
General, what is it you just learned about me? What did I divulge 10 minutes ago? Oh, that I hate the white Heat jerseys? Yeah, I do. You know, the whole whiteout thing. Whatever.
White hot.
I know. The Heat.
The highest.
I know, the Heat. White hot. I know. I got it.
Whatever.
I got it.
You know what? I don't need to explain anything to you.
You don't?
3 rings.
You like them? I don't.
3 rings.
I don't mean the team. I just meant the white jerseys. I actually like the team. I'm a Riley guy.
Well,
I'm a Knicks fan who doesn't hold anything against Riley. I'm glad he brought the Knicks back to prominence. All right. No problem. None at all.
Now, when he left, it was Van Gundy, right?
Don Nelson.
Wow.
And Don Nelson had him for, I don't even know if he made it through his first year. Maybe 50-something games, I think, and Van Gundy took over.
Damn.
Today's game is the game that Don Nelson envisioned, going all the way back to the 80s. Don Nelson famously said about 40 years ago, I envisioned a bunch of guys between 6'5" and 6'8", spread out all over the floor shooting it.
He's a visionary. I mean, he has... No, I think Pop just passed him, no? He had the most wins in NBA history.
I thought Lenny Wilkins might have passed him, but he's up there.
I think it was Don Nelson, but Pop recently passed him.
Don Nelson, who is smoking a boatload of pot a day, living in Hawaii.
Good for him.
Yep. I'm very happy doing it. Yep. Van Gundy hugging Lonzo's ankle there.
Oh, yeah. It's funny. Every time Van Gundy does an ESPN game in Miami, they always say hi. It's so funny.
Well, he didn't have a lot of success against the Knicks. You know, I think Riley went 1-3 in 4 playoff series, and the only one he won because of the NBA suspensions. They wouldn't have won that series either in 97.
Allen Houston.
Yep.
Running jumper off the backstop and in.
Probably his best team.
The 99.
Of that morning Hardaway, Marley, Mashburn group, the 99 team I thought was his best team.
They had the best chance to win.
They got a bad draw too. To get the Knicks Miami was the 1 and the Knicks were the 8.
Mm-hmm.
That was a tough draw.
Yeah. Went to game 7 though. I mean, come on.
Actually, that might have
game 5. Yeah,
might have still been 5
You're
in
right.
the first round. Adam, I miss Stan Van Gundy coaching the Magic too, because Stan Van Gundy. We coming back, by the way?
In 40 seconds.
Seems late. When Stan was coaching the Heat, you're not going to believe this. Stan used to call into our show driving home from practice.
Really?
Yeah, as head coach of the Heat. Yeah, we had his number.
No way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I love Stan Van Gundy.
It wasn't Miller and Moulton yet. It was just me. Okay, but we'd get him driving home.
That's cool. We're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Remember, 21,000 is how you can text the show. Just send us anything you want us to know, your opinion, your gripe with what it is we're talking about. 21,000, 21000. And if you never sent us a text before, text in FSN Radio. as the keyword. And then your text will go through, and you'll never have to do that again. 21,000 for our text line. Bobby Reagan in an hour's time to talk college hoops. The play of the day is 40 minutes away. Right now it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, it's college hoops this time of year. Patrick Ewing fired at Georgetown, not a surprise. I mean, they went 7-25 this year, and that's after going 6-25 the year before. Ouch. You know, it's a shame. After his 4th year, 2 years ago, they won the Big East title. They went 13-50 since. Ouch. So Ewing got 6 years at his alma mater, and he was let go. A lot of talk that Rick Pitino in Georgetown. I'm just saying. And there could be a battle for Rick Pitino because St. John's got beat in the Big East tournament yesterday in overtime. And the thought is they're going to fire Mike Anderson. And the thought is that St. John's is going to go after Rick Pitino. If you're Pitino, St. John's or Georgetown. He doesn't have to move if he takes St. John's. I think better chance to win at Georgetown, but he doesn't have to move if he takes St. John's. Just saying. Bill Self's going to miss the entire Big 12 tournament for health reasons. They haven't said what those health reasons are. My guess is we'll find out next week when Bill and the Jayhawks are a 1 seed and they're getting ready for the NCAA tournament. But was announced yesterday that Bill Self will not coach in the Big 12 tournament. Kansas a winner yesterday and moving on to the Big 12 semis. All right, in-state, Miami advanced barely against Wake Forest, 74-72. They're in the semis of the ACC. They'll take on Duke in the early game tonight. The Gators' regular season came to an end, losing in the SEC tournament in overtime to bubble team Mississippi State, 69-68. Gators are 16-16. I don't think they'll get an NIT bid, but I guess it's possible. UCF, a winner in the AAC tournament. They'll face Memphis next. UCF beat SMU by 6. South Florida season came to an end. East Carolina beat them 73-58. Bulls go 14-18. A lot of talk that yesterday was Brian Gregory's last game as head coach in South Florida. FAU did what they had to do. They throttled Western Kentucky 75-51. The Owls are 29-3. And after all the bubble teams, which we're about to get to, who lost yesterday, one would think there's no way that FAU is not in the tournament, even if they were to not win the Conference USA Championship. FAU takes on Middle Tennessee State in the semis. All right. Winner in, loser out. That's how the game was billed. Noon yesterday. Rutgers shut down Michigan in the second half, 62-50. Everybody's got Michigan out now. Rutgers, some have them first 4 in, some have them first 4 out. Rutgers plays Purdue later today. A win, and you certainly think they'd be in. Most people have Rutgers just in, but we'll see. How about Ohio State? Back-to-back. They've beaten Wisconsin and Iowa, 73-69 Buckeyes. Next up later today, Michigan State. Ohio State, which had an awful season, got their act together in the last 2 weeks. They've beaten a bunch of good Big Ten teams. Is Ohio State going to be the team that has a magical run through a conference tournament and steals a bid?
I looked it up yesterday. The team with the lowest amount of wins to make an NCAA tournament was 11. That's happened a couple of times, but 11.
Buckeyes now 15-18. Providence has ended the season in a free fall, and it continued yesterday, losing to UConn in the Big East tournament. Most have Providence last 4 in, but they're done. Keep an eye. Providence, like Rutgers, like Auburn, really fading down the end of the regular season. Speaking of Auburn, they lost to Arkansas 76-73. That's a good team, but it was the type of game where if Auburn won, they likely punched their ticket. Now, most bracketologists have them in the last 4 in line, which means anything can still happen. By the way, Nevada was in the last 4 in line, and then they got beat in the Mountain West quarters last night in overtime to San Jose State. You check your bracketology this morning, Nevada is out just as often as they are in. Oregon, meanwhile, trying to play their way in, beat Washington State by 5. Most people still have him just out. They play UCLA later today. Is that a play-in game for the Ducks? Probably. Arizona State may have won their play-in game last night. They beat USC by 5. So Arizona State in the last 4 games has beaten both Arizona and USC. Is that enough to get Bobby Hurley's team in? By the way, Bobby Hurley could also end up at St. John's or Georgetown. Keep that in mind. Penn State, are they playing their way in? They beat Illinois 79-76. A lot of people now have Penn State on the last 4 in line because of all the losses by bubble teams yesterday. Penn State can definitely punch their ticket by beating Northwestern later today. Oklahoma State ended the season struggling. Didn't help them that they lost to Texas by 14 yesterday. Most bracketologists have Oklahoma State on the outside looking in. Same with North Carolina. They needed to beat Virginia. We all knew they needed to beat Virginia. They were 1-10 in quad 1 games. Make it 1-11. Virginia pulled away late, 68-59. North Carolina went from preseason number 1 to the NIT. That doesn't happen very often. Vanderbilt, Jerry Stackhouse's team, ending the season on a run. They now are in the last line out. They can play their way in, most people feel, later today with a win against Kentucky. Vandy beat LSU yesterday by 9. And Boise State likely punched their ticket by beating UNLV in overtime last night. The Broncos by 11. Most people feel they will get in out of the Mountain West. And Clemson, did they do enough in beating North Carolina State by 26 yesterday? A lot of bracketologists have them first 4 out. That means Clemson needs to beat Virginia in the ACC semis tonight. That's a lot of teams in the last 4 in, first 4 out, isn't it? Most of whom lost. This bubble, when they put the cameras on the team sitting there waiting to hear their names, you have a feeling there may be more disappointed teams this year than they ever show on national television before. NBA news. Kevin Durant's going to miss 3 weeks because of that layup drill mishap before his game 2 nights ago.
Did you see why Jonathan Kuminga didn't play last night?
No.
The same exact thing.
Seriously?
He slipped in warm-ups and rolled his ankle. Back nights.
NBA players injuring themselves in the layup line. Unbelievable.
This is insane.
KD's going to miss 3 weeks for what it's worth. Heat got some good news yesterday. Brooklyn lost. No Giannis, and Milwaukee still beat them 118-113. By the way, 98 of Brooklyn's 113 points came off the bench. That's an NBA record. Heat 2.5 back of Brooklyn for the 6th seed. That's to avoid the play-in. They're 3 back in the loss column. Utah beat Orlando in the Magic Kingdom, 131-124. Sacramento held off the Knicks, 122-117. And with Memphis beating Golden State, Memphis and Sacramento remain tied for the 2 seed out west. NHL, good news for the Lightning. They scored 2 goals in the final 2:07 to tie things up and force overtime with Vegas. The bad news is they lost in OT 4-3. Speaking of 4-3 in overtime, that was the Islanders over the Penguins. The Panthers find themselves 4 points behind Pittsburgh for the final playoff spot. Penguins have a game in hand. Panthers still have 17 games to play. Good luck. 4-3 was the score in Montreal. The Rangers beat the Canadiens in a shootout. Patrick Kane with a goal and an assist for the Blue Shirts. Devils 3-2 over Washington in a shootout. Carolina kept pace by shutting out Philly 1-0. The Boston Bruins blew a 2-goal lead at home and lost in regulation to Edmonton 3-2. Just the 9th time all year the Bruins have lost in regulation. And watch out for the LA Kings, ladies and gentlemen. They beat Colorado 5-2. They are on a roll. In fact, they're damn near the 1 seed out west. Pay attention to the LA Kings. It's been a while. Anybody paying attention to the WBC? No, not boxing. The World Baseball Classic. It actually is underway right now, halfway across the world in Japan. It gets underway in the States tomorrow in Phoenix and Miami. The Team USA is going to play in Phoenix to start off against Great Britain. I will say this, Felipe. You want some atmosphere at Marlins Park?
Oh, yeah.
Dominican Republic against Venezuela and Puerto Rico against Nicaragua. I'll bet you the place is packed and lively.
2013, Dominican Republic versus Puerto Rico. I was there. I've never seen that stadium more filled in my entire life.
A buddy of mine went to the Dominican Republic's been playing in Southwest Florida.
Yes.
Okay. And he went to, I think they played the Twins yesterday.
At Hammond, yes.
And he said, best atmosphere he's ever had at a baseball game. He said, I'd never stay for all 9 innings of spring training game. I stayed all 9 innings. It was awesome. He said, we need to learn something from them. He said it was so much fun.
Puerto Rico played at JetBlue Park, same thing.
The Players' Championship, first round suspended due to darkness. Chad Ramey, your leader at 8 under. Morikawa, 1 shot back. Scheffler in a group at 4 under. Spieth, 3 under. Rahm, 1 under. Homa, even. JT, 1 over. Rory, 4 over. Ouch. By the way, Hayden Buckley aced the 17th. He hit it past the pin, sucked it back 20 feet for a hole-in-one on the Island par 3. NFL news, Odell Beckham will work out for teams today, and the NFL handed out compensatory picks yesterday. Half the league got compensatory picks. The Niners getting 7 of them. The Rams getting 4. The Bucs got 2. Dolphins and Jags get nothing, and they'll like it. And that, as we approach 7 minutes before the hour, is...
That was the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
2 ways to get compensatory picks. You lose free agents. And also, if you lose front office people, you lose assistant coaches, you lose people in your front office. And the Niners got 7 compensatory picks between free agency and front office losses, 3 of them being third-rounders. And only 5 third-rounders were handed out, and the Niners got 3 of them.
Wow. That's a gift.
So there you go. Now, remember, they've traded away first, second, and third-round picks for Trey Lance and Christian McCaffrey. So they need these picks. They only had 4 picks in this draft before yesterday. Now they have 11. So there you have it. Bobby Reagan to talk college hoops next hour. Pat Kirwan to talk about the compensatory picks and Zadarius Smith and Aaron Rodgers and all the comings and goings in the NFL. That's an hour away. Miller and Moulton, thanks for waking up with us here on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I am so happy about that Odell news that you broke because one, I love Odell and I love seeing him in the NFL. And I had no idea that he was going to start working out for teams. But two, last night I was explaining to Sophie what exactly a diva wide receiver is. And I used Odell as an example. And I said out loud, I was like, man, I hope he plays again. Now, this is just a workout, but it's good to see him active.
Okay.
Hashtag we know. Is that their baseball thing? FGCU?
I'm sorry, what?
Hashtag we know.
Yeah, that's their thing.
We know what?
Like how good we are.
Oh,
That's at least how I take it. But that was their thing. We know.
we know. Okay. Yeah. All right. You guys are ranked. We know. Okay. I'm with you, Empire. Empire. I mean, Rams won a Super Bowl because of him. He doesn't score that touchdown.
Toe's going to come on at 9.
Okay. We're coming back.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Friday. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Yesterday, one of my favorite sports days of the year. My third favorite is college basketball day of the year. First 2 days of the tournament are the 2 best days of the year. But yesterday, that's conference quarterfinal action in which a lot of the big boy bubble teams, it's win and you're likely in, lose and you're likely out. And boy, we had like 10 of those games yesterday, and seemingly more teams lost than won. So I guess it's possible you could have lost early in the day and backed your way in by the end of the day. And there's very few bid stealers still out there. There really are. Maybe Ohio State continues the run and wins the Big Ten. I guess you could consider Clemson if they were to continue to run and win the ACC. But there's very few teams out there that Vandy, I guess, in the SEC to steal a bid. But for the most part, I think a lot of the bracketology people would probably feel pretty good posting what they have this morning and saying, I can live with this. I don't know how much this is going to change, by the way, going forward. Just throwing that out there. Bobby Reagan to talk some college hoops in a little more than 30 minutes time. Countdown continues. No Aaron Rodgers to the Jets yesterday. Wednesday lunch is when the new NFL year begins. Teams have to get and be cap compliant by midday Wednesday.
That is another great part about this time of the year. NFL offseason action.
No doubt.
Just mixed into all the...
And listen, there's not much that the NFL had to play catch up with on the other leagues, but the best league in terms of their free agency has been the NBA now for a while.
No question.
Okay, that first week of July, when you had the legal and illegal tampering that was going on, and seemingly this new year began on July 1st, but nothing could be done till July 8th, which was hysterical because by July 2nd, all of these moves were already done. But that week, the NBA in the middle of the summer, with no NFL going on, no NHL, no college anything, and all they were competing against is Major League Baseball, the NBA has done a really good job for about 15 years now in just, doing what they did Super Bowl week, to be honest with you, which is when they had their trade deadline. And for 3-4 days, they were actually the biggest story going on in the sports world. Well, the first week of July, the NBA is owned now for a decade. Well, the NFL being as big as they are, if basically they set up deadlines, it doesn't even matter if it's at the beginning of March Madness. It's like, it doesn't matter. We're the NFL. Doesn't matter if there's 3-4 weeks left in the NBA or NHL regular season. Doesn't matter if baseball's trying to do this World Baseball Classic, which, by the way, can I just do a sidebar for a second here? I'll get back to the whole NFL, NBA thing. Doesn't Major League Baseball just have to suck it up? And if you want to do this, really do it. Do what the NHL does every 4 years, although not consistently, which is, okay, we're going to compete in the Olympics. It's awkward, but we're going to shut the season down for a couple of weeks. And we're going to send our best players to the Olympics, and hopefully people watch the product and they'll become maybe more hockey fans. And then when these guys come back, that maybe people will watch more of our games. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yep. We know risk of injury, the whole deal. Yep. Teams have momentum and it gets stopped. We know, but the greater good, blah, 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 blah.
If it grows the sport internationally, it's worth it.
Okay. But
it's conflicting.
You think? The problem though, is anybody in the States talking about it? And remember,
not really.
This is the Florida Sports Network. Spring training happens in Florida and Arizona. If you ain't talking about it in Florida, is anybody talking about it anywhere else? If you ain't talking about it in Arizona, is anybody talking about it anywhere else? Now imagine you want to hold this World Baseball Classic in July.
You can't do it.
Why not? The NHL shuts their season down every 4 years and for the Olympics. Why can't you, if you're Major League Baseball, you want to do the World Baseball Classic every 3-4 years? Fine. Shut your sport down. Play the World Baseball Classic. By the way, everybody's in shape. There's no risk of injury. Like right now, guys have gotten hurt getting ready for the World Baseball Classic. Guys are going to get hurt in the World Baseball Classic because they ain't 100% yet. They're not. They have not played. They're not in game shape. They're in workout shape. They're not in game shape. They're not in high stress. Watch the pitchers. Pitchers are going to go, no. If a pitcher pitches 4 complete innings in the World Baseball Classic, he's thrown a lot. Okay. As opposed to, you want to do this. You want people to get really excited about Team USA against the Dominican or against Puerto Rico or against Japan. I mean, think of who we'd put out there in July.
You'd rather they do this in the middle of the
Totally.
season? As
Absolutely.
Opposed to when they've always done it?
Okay. What are you more interested in? All-Star Game Week or the World Baseball Classic? What are you more interested in?
Honestly, because the All-Star Game used to have more importance.
Yeah, and it's none now.
So now World Baseball Classic.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
I think it's awesome. If there's a game on, I'm tuning in.
Really?
Yes.
Really? There's 4 games on right now. You don't have a single one of them on TV.
I'm doing a show right now.
You could watch it. Trust me, you've watched other things while doing a show.
I also needed a play of the day. Sports Center is really good at providing that for me. But fine. You know what? I'll put on the World Baseball Classic right now. Korea, Japan.
Put it this way. I would be willing to try it once if I was Rob Manfred. And you can say a lot of things about Rob Manfred, but it's not like he's not willing to try some things. I mean, for goodness sakes, he's now brought a pitch clock into the sport. People thought literally the sport would shut down before a clock was ever brought into the game. All right. And now we've got, how about we shut it down? Really? We don't play 162 games one year. Okay. This is a cash grab, by the way. Let's also call it what it is. This is a cash grab while trying to promote the sport internationally. But this is a cash grab.
The World Baseball Classic?
For baseball? Absolutely.
Is the World Cup a cash grab?
Okay. For
soccer?
Yeah. Of course it is. It's the biggest cash grab going. Why do you think they've added more teams? More countries want part of the cash.
You say that in kind of negative context.
Well, no, I'm saying it as it's a matter of fact. Okay, they ain't doing this for the greater good. They're not. They're trying to say it's grow the game internationally, what have you. They're doing it for cash. Cash. That's why they're doing it. Are these players getting paid? Damn right they are. Okay, they're not getting paid by their teams. They're getting paid separately to do this. All right, this is for cash.
while also simultaneously growing the game.
Would you be interested in July, a World Baseball Classic?
No, I like it preseason.
Really?
I do.
No. So next week, when March Madness is going on, you're going to go, oh, I can't watch March Madness. The United States is playing Great Britain.
Okay.
See,
all right, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, that's the other thing.
Okay.
You're going to play it in mid to late March.
Then schedule it midweek when the games aren't happening.
Well, first off, got the play-in games Tuesday and Wednesday. The tournament starts noon on Thursday. How many days you got here? It's like trying to schedule around the NFL. The NFL now is playing so many damn days of the week. It's tough to schedule against the NFL. Why not just one time? Let's do it in July. 3 weeks in July. We go through July 4th weekend. We do Major League Baseball. July 4th weekend's a big weekend. July 4th this year's on a Tuesday. Okay, here's the deal. Okay, we go through July 4th. We have our games. Fine. We shut the sport down on July 5th. All right. We put these teams together. They work out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They start playing Saturday the 8th. Okay, maybe even Friday the 7th. They're all in shape. They've all been playing. It's baseball. Come on, let's go. Travel teams do it all the time. Hey, Johnny, how are you? You play second, I'll play short. Tony, you going to play third? Okay, fine, let's go. Frank, you pitching? How many can you go today? 6? All right, good. Let's go.
The tournament, the playing game is next Wednesday and Thursday. For March Madness.
It's Tuesday, Wednesday.
Or Tuesday, Wednesday.
Right.
Tournament starts Thursday, Friday. Games
Correct.
Saturday and Sunday as well?
Of course.
Are there games Monday and Tuesday?
There are not. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Monday, Tuesday, semifinal, final for the World Baseball Classic.
Well, first off, the tournament's a week and a half old. That's it? You're going to end it just like that?
Well, this is just the
you got to remember,
group stage.
You're going to hold a semifinal and a final, and nobody's paid any attention to all the games leading up to it. Literally Monday, people's going to go, what the hell are you talking about, a World Baseball Classic semifinal? Oh, yeah, the United States is playing Dominican Republic. What?
At least
okay, so you're going to hold this whole thing so people can watch 2 games. No, if you're going to do it, do it. Do it. If you want to grow the game, which, by the way, forget growing it internationally. How about growing it back again in the States? How about getting people to watch baseball again and not their own team? And Felipe, what has been proven in this country does not matter the sport. You wrap the red, white, and blue around it, people will watch. People will watch. Team USA Baseball playing against Japan, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Cuba. I'd watch every night. And I would love, if you loved World Cup soccer atmosphere, you would have that in the baseball stands. And I think baseball, that's wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if that all of a sudden started showing up in more major league ballparks. I mean, look what a celebration it was last year when the Mets closer came out of the bullpen to a fun song. I mean, that was 90 seconds, and they went crazy about it in New York City. And it caught on nationwide. That was a song for a guy running in for the bullpen. How about if in the 6th inning, Mike Trout's at the plate, and they got the vuvuzelas going, and we're banging the drums?
Well, then tune in.
Yes.
By the way, I turned on this game, and Ohtani immediately hit a double.
Right. And you stopped paying attention to me, didn't you? Yeah, because Ohtani was at the plate playing in a baseball game that mattered on a Wednesday night, against Kansas City, does not matter. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, Only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
No, Johnny Mac, I have no idea yet about the tax return. That's funny, though. I think we're going to break even. I sent a lot of money to the government already. A lot.
Uncle Sam got a lot from Uncle Moulton. So I was sitting for the World Baseball Classic game I went to. I was sitting along the first base line, and there was a band behind me playing, like 4 instruments in the seats, a band playing for all 9 innings of the game. And there were multiple bands throughout the whole stadium. But again, the fullest I have ever seen Lone Depot Park in my entire life. And I've been going to that park for its entire existence now.
But Arch, here's the deal. You take the money for the World Baseball Classic and you recompensate the owners. I mean, that's where the World Baseball Classic. Now, there's no doubt they would not make as much money, but also the World Baseball Classic would make so much more money if you had it in July than if you're having it now. So much more money.
But what grows the game better, the World Baseball Classic or the Major League Baseball?
Okay. Interleague games the second week of July after the All-Star break of the World Baseball Classic. Milwaukee, Kansas City.
I mean, again, it's like
listen, you're either in or you're out. That's my argument. I've been doing this World Baseball Classic now for a generation. Nobody really gives a shit. Okay, within baseball, never mind outside of baseball. So my point as commissioner would be, listen, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it. Okay, 1 year, guys. You're going to give me 1 year. We're shutting the sport down. All right, we're doing the World Baseball Classic. That year, we may play 144 games, 148 games, whatever it is. All right. And just saying, yes, one of your good players might get hurt. One of your good players may need a couple days off after playing in the World Baseball Classic. Yes, we're making a sacrifice. We're going to try something. All right, one time. And then we're going to reconvene and we're going to sit down and we're going to say, hey, here were the ratings. This is the money. Okay, what do you think? And either we'll keep doing it or that's it. We did it one time. But my argument is they got to try this. Listen, people in hockey thought, you're doing what? You are shutting the sport down? Like, I wondered why they couldn't just keep playing. And yeah, it would suck if my team was good and all of a sudden 7 of my top players are out and I'm losing games because of it. But I'm like, you're shutting the league down for 3 weeks?
Well, remember how bad Seth Everett was because the World Cup was so late this year. It was conflicting with Champions League.
Right.
It shut Champions League down.
Yeah. Guess what? How'd the sport do? How'd the sport do?
Pretty good.
Yeah. You think? Now, Don't get me wrong. Didn't hurt that Messi and Argentina won.
True. It wouldn't have been as good if
Against
Croatia
France.
won.
Right.
But yeah, that's like saying like, okay, Liverpool versus Madrid or Spain versus Argentina.
By the way, imagine Mike Trout for Team USA in a semifinal or final in a big spot. You could argue it'd be the biggest at bat of his career.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mark off today, back on Monday.
Where is that guy?
He's playing golf.
Oh.
Member guest. Okay. About 6 minutes from where we sit, in fact. Okay. I mean, we could show up and heckle him if we want when we're done. I don't know what hole he'll be on, but we can, grab a couple drinks and just be standing behind the green going, look at that Miller guy. Man, he sucks. I don't know. Bring a vuvuzela, some bongos. Pretend it's the World Baseball Classic.
Bring the World Baseball Classic atmosphere to golf.
Yeah.
Like it's the 16th at the Waste Management.
So, you mentioned something during the break. We were continuing the discussion. And for those just joining us, I think baseball should give it a shot like hockey does every 4 years. Shut the sport down for the Olympics. You're going to do this World Baseball Classic, which is basically your version of the Olympics. Then shut the damn sport down. Don't shut spring training down. Guys aren't even in full shape yet. Pitchers can't go more than 3 innings. I mean, come on. If you're going to do this, don't compete against March Madness and the Players' Championship and, NBA, NHL. I mean, come on. If you're going to do it, do it. Do it in July. There's nothing going on. Run the World Baseball Classic for 3 weeks. Hell, you might have the whole country watching baseball. World Cup type atmosphere. We watch the World Cup. We wouldn't watch baseball? Baseball's version of the World Cup? Hell, we'll know more of the guys competing in the baseball version of the World Cup than we did in the soccer version of the World Cup. And speaking of the World Cup, you're a soccer guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. They shut down what? Champions League?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Uh-huh. How'd the sport do?
Pretty good. But it's like we said, it helps that Argentina and France was the dream matchup.
There's no doubt about it. It wasn't Croatia and Uruguay. There's no doubt. I mean, it helps. Like last year's Final Four. We had Duke, Carolina, Kansas. There you go.
And Villanova.
Yeah, exactly. A bunch of really teams that nobody's interested in. Right. But sometimes you get lucky. But also, you have to try it to get that kind of luck.
At the end of the day, they're all favored to do it. So,
Yeah. I mean, imagine if all of a sudden we end up in the semis and you got Japan with Ohtani. Thank you very much. You got U.S., and you got probably the Dominican Republic and either Puerto Rico or Cuba. Seriously? We're not talking baseball on sports radio in this country. Okay, we're not watching these games. A buddy of mine, and I'm going to go down a road that I don't often go down, but I'll be as real can be. A buddy of mine, born and raised in Minnesota, now lives in Southwest Florida. This just in, he's white. And when I say white, I mean white. Okay? Went to the Dominican Republic in a spring training game yesterday in Southwest Florida. Left unsolicited, left a minute message on my cell phone saying, this is the most fun I've ever had at a baseball game. And I've been going to baseball games for 40 years. He goes, I never stay more than 6 innings of the spring training game. I stayed for every pitch of this one. He goes, between the pitch clock, which he loves, he goes, but with the banging of the drums and the atmosphere and the whole deal, he's like, oh my God, I'd go to 3 games. I'd buy season I would find the money if this was the atmosphere at a baseball game. You don't think for 3 weeks that America wouldn't be captivated, even in a small way, by the World Baseball Classic?
Oh, I'm hurt. I hate to say this, but I'm kind of hurt that FGCU won their semifinal game, because if they lost, I would have been at Lone Depot Park on Saturday at the World Baseball Classic game. But instead, I'm obviously working the ASUN Championship game.
Yes.
But I'd be at Miami. And for those of you listening, you should go to Miami and check that out.
Dominican Republic against Venezuela, Puerto Rico against Nicaragua. All right. Whether you take it in or not, in person, or you watch, and I'm guessing most of you will not. Okay. But at some point, try to find some highlights. It will be a World Cup soccer-like atmosphere at the ballpark. Now, maybe that doesn't interest you, and maybe that would not captivate you to watch in July. But if I'm running Major League Baseball, July 4th is a huge weekend and holiday for us. I am sticking with my regular schedule right on through July 4th. This year, July 4th is a Tuesday. And then probably on July 5th, I'm shutting the damn sport down. And by Friday the 7th or Saturday the 8th, I'm starting the World Baseball Classic. Everybody's in shape. You take a travel day to get everybody together. You give them one workout. Let's go. All right. And then you have these games, by the way, you can either do one location in which everybody knows where to go, or 2 locations. Like we've got Miami and Phoenix in the States is where the 2 locations are right now. Okay. And then you figure it out.
But do you make up the rest of those games, or you just have a shortened season?
No, for 1 year, the owners are going to have to make a sacrifice. We'll play as many games as we can. Okay. The players will go for it because the players are going to get paid as if they're playing 162. Okay. It's either that or
but they're not.
I understand, but the players won't agree to play in it unless they're getting full checks. The owners are the ones that are going to have to make the sacrifice here and do it one time and see. And by the way, they will make more money on the World Baseball Classic, far more money in July than they will in March. Far more money in July than March. Now, is it enough to compensate for the regular season games lost? Probably not. But once again, why are we doing this? And I just say, do it once. 1 year. 1 damn year. You only play this thing every 3 or 4 years. One time we do it.
So if it's the norm, you're suggesting that now every 4 years of Major League Baseball will have a shortened season.
Or every 4 years, we have to start the season a little earlier and work in some doubleheaders. If the owners go, listen, I ain't doing this if I lose a date. Well, then, okay, we're going to have to get creative. Listen, come on.
I'm with you. I'm just saying I don't think that will ever happen.
Okay.
Because of the owners.
Once again, did you think you'd see a pitch clock in baseball? Rob Manfred has the power here.
But this isn't Major League Baseball.
It'll be up to Rob. Listen, the players, if they get paid, will do it. They will. So the players are not the issue here. The issue will be the owners. Rob Manfred will have to address the people who determine his job. And there are times as a commissioner in which you actually have to put your cards on the table. If you're Rob Manfred, if I was, I would for one time. And I would say to them, guys, if it fails and what have you, fire me. Okay, but I really think we need to do this. We can captivate the sports world in this country for 3 weeks and arguably captivate the sports world also. And we ain't captivating it in March worldwide. I'm just telling you, we're not. Okay, so that one time, it's not worth it. Listen, I think Major League Baseball would get more benefit out of the World Baseball Classic in July than the NHL gets for shutting down and playing the Olympics every 4th February.
Rough Tough in the Twitch chat goes, imagine Puerto Rico versus Cuba in Yankee Stadium in July.
Right.
That's an image.
Yes.
That is an image.
Yes, it is. You have time for the clutch vodka?
Yeah,
play
I
of the
got
day?
time.
All right.
I got time. So I was on a streak with going to the ice, but now we're going back to the hoops. We're reeling it back in.
All right.
And I'll do one NBA one just because, March Madness is coming. But Rockets down 3, clock's ticking, and in Indiana, that's a little bit of a tongue twister. Jabari Smith, who doesn't really hit a lot of threes, he had a career high 30 last night with a fadeaway 3 to send it to OT.
Comes into Smith, fade and fire. Oh, he hit it! A turnaround 3 with 4 seconds to go. Unbelievable shot making there by Jabari Smith Jr.
Masterful loss, though, by the Rockets, though.
I was going to say, how clutch was it? They lost in OT.
Yeah,
Probably could have found a madness one, I think.
Tank for Victor, though,
That's true. That's our clutch vodka play of the day. The clutch with a K. Mark will be back on Monday. He's got all the details that goes along with it. It's clutch vodka, clutch with a K.
Clutch spirits.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah.
With a K.
Right. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan will join us at the top of the hour. Talk about the sport that dominates the year, pretty much 365. That's because Major League Baseball won't play the World Baseball Classic in July, where they'd actually get some attention. Meanwhile, NCAA basketball gets a little attention in March, not like the World Baseball Classic in March. Bobby Reagan to talk who's in, who's out. Bobby Reagan of Barstool next. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I'm kind of pissed I didn't go to that game yesterday. I couldn't do it. I felt horrible.
No. This is part of, unfortunately, having a job.
I know, but
okay, and knowing you got to work the ASUN final tomorrow night. I mean, you got to.
Literally the most stacked team, one of the most stacked teams in the World Baseball Classic in Fort Myers.
Not only that, they're staying at the hotel that we've been staying at the last 2 nights too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of baseball players in that hotel.
Damn.
It's hysterical because the hotel is completely sold out. There's 40 cars in the parking lot. That's it. Because, there's so many people. So they get on a team bus and they get transported everywhere.
Right.
DC, here's what I'd be willing to do. However many teams we got, 4 advance, 2 in each group. And then, I did 2 best of 3s. 3 games in 3 days, day off, 3 games in 3 days. So in theory, the semis and the finals would take no more than a week, 7 days max. Felipe, think about it. July 4th's a Tuesday. We got the 5th and the 6th off. I could start this thing on a Friday night, the 7th. I could play the 7th through the 16th, 10 days. All right. And I'll have my 2 groups. And I'm guessing this is an 8-team tournament, 4 teams on each group. Okay. 2 advance from each side. And then we have best of 3 semis, best of 3 finals. Take 2.5 weeks. Major League Baseball season resumes Monday. I've taken almost 3 full weeks off, maybe Tuesday. I'll give a day off. Okay. I've shut the season down for 3 weeks. The season resumes again on July 25th or 26th. Now, I know it's the hardest summer, all those ballparks. Okay. Either that or I get the owners to say, listen, you may be without, hey, Angels owner, you're going to be without, Trout, Ohtani, blah, blah, blah. And you're going to play 15, 18 games in the standings, and you might go 6-12. I don't know what to tell you. Okay. So if you want to play 162, that's fine. But just so you know, when you lose guys, you lose guys.
Those major league parks rule the dog days.
And my guess is the owners would say, we'll play with an inferior roster. That's my guess. My guess is they will say, screw that. We want the money. It's summer. I can't have 30 ballparks sitting there empty. Blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. If I'm Manfred, you guys choose. We shut it down for 3 weeks, or we continue playing, but we pull the best players out.
By the way, you know what follows the World Baseball Classic? The Little League World Series. More international baseball. Summer really is all about baseball.
Well, it should be. That's another thing that I would do. I mean, if that's part of my plan. If I'm Rob Manfred,
summer is baseball.
Yeah, make it be about
a
baseball.
Summer classic. But that's the thing. It's not the World Baseball Classic. Isn't Major League Baseball? It's the World Baseball Classic. Like you would also need.
Yeah, but I could argue it's the best of Major League Baseball. I mean, right. I really could. I could argue it's the best. There are those that believe in hockey. They used to have the Canada Cup and the Summit Series, all right, that the best hockey that was played in the world was actually played in September. And it was when Team Canada, Team USA, and Team Russia would be facing one another in a series, all right? And that's actually the best hockey that's ever been played in the world.
He's on hold. We're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan to join us. Talk all things NFL at the top of the hour. Mark will be back on Monday. Bobby Regan's kind enough to join us. He covers hoops, college hoops in particular, Barstool Sports. Follow him on Twitter, Barstool Reags, R-E-A-G-S, Barstool Reags. Bobby, it's David. How are you?
Good, David. How you doing?
I am fine. I'm trying to figure out, is this year the year that's going to absolutely kill any and all talk of expanding this tournament? Because think of the teams that would actually be getting in if we expanded it this year, or because the likes of North Carolina and Michigan and a few other big boys are going to miss the tournament this year, is that actually going to cement the fact we're going to get an expanded tournament?
I don't use this term lightly, but anyone who thinks the tournament should be expanded belongs in like federal prison. It's that dumb. It's that outrageous. That's how strong I am. Like, if anything, it needs to go back to 64. And if this season shows, like, yeah, you're right. This season does show, like, great programs have bad years. You miss the tournament. Like, sorry, you have 37 chances. There are 37 opportunities to be a tournament team because there's 36 at-large teams, and obviously you can win your conference tournament. So you have 37 spots for you. It's a crazy idea, David. Just win. Like, it's that simple.
I know. I agree. Listen, Bobby.
It shows it's watered down if you expand.
Bobby, listen, the bubble teams this year, I mean, we're going to have teams 12, 13, 14 losses. We're going to have a bunch of them that are going to get the final 4, 6 at-large spots. I mean, it's nuts to me, but come on. We know what drives the train now. It's money, and Greg Sankey wants an expanded tournament. And the rest of the college sports world has yet to say no to Greg Sankey.
There was one report came out and said no. I forget where it was. It was about a month and a half ago. I don't even remember the source, but I do remember reading it. Someone did come out and say, like, it's not even on the table. It's like talked about, but it's not on the table. If anything, this season does show, like every other season, you just don't need that many teams. Like, this is as wide open of a year since 2014, arguably even more than 2014. And like, the bubble teams are kind of perfect. And you get this mix of mid-majors who are bubble teams versus high majors versus great programs versus surprise teams. And it's really the perfect setup. And there's just no reason to expand it. Like, imagine this week not mattering. Like, imagine Michigan Rutgers, that game being nothing, or Carolina having to make a run in the ACC tournament meaning nothing, or, you go to the SEC. Like, there's so many different, Mississippi State, Florida, Mississippi State, that overtime game would have meant nothing. And instead you have this, what I think is it's my favorite week of basketball. This week is my favorite week of basketball. And then you just lose that with tournament expansion. That's what I don't want. And it's just, college basketball's biggest problem is people devalue the regular season. Fans devalue the regular season because it's what do you do in March? What do you do in March? And it's so long, it's overshadowed by football. And then we have this 6-week run where it's the sport everyone's talking about. You can't devalue the regular season anymore.
Bobby, I'm with you. I've been saying throughout the show that yesterday is my third favorite college basketball day of the year, that the first 2 days of the tournament of full field 64 next Thursday, Friday, those are my two favorite. But that yesterday, because we had 12 games going in that we felt were play in, play out games yesterday. Well, hell, we never get more than 32 on a given day in the tournament. I mean, actually 16. So if you think about it, yesterday was like a third NCAA tournament day.
Yeah, I actually like today a little bit more. But the run of yesterday, today, and tomorrow, I mean, like you said, you start getting, we're back to some mid-major conference championships coming up tomorrow. And you have semifinals today and quarterfinals of high majors, and you have matchups that you have great basketball. There are no more 116s. There's no 116 today like you get on Thursday and Friday of next week. And don't get me wrong, Thursday and Friday of next week is awesome. Like, everyone agrees on that. But the fact that you get the winner go home atmosphere, you have the play-in game type atmosphere, and you have awesome games. Like, you can't match these 3 days.
Bobby Reagan, Barstool. Follow him on Twitter, Barstool Reags, R-E-A-G-S. In a 24-month period of time, Roy Williams, Jay Wright, Mike Krzyzewski, Jim Boeheim either walk away or are asked to walk away. And does that matter? Or were they so big and the sport going through the coaches so much that this is going to be a period now going forward where the sport's going to be in flux?
It's more, I don't think it's in flux. I mean, well, Boeheim should have walked away 10 years ago. So I think everyone's kind of more celebrating the fact he's gone than questioning it. But it's more outside of right. They're all older, you know, so It's like everyone has to retire at some point, or, you know, morbidly, everyone moves on at some point, I should say. So it's like these guys had to leave the sport at one point. Now, Wright was obviously surprising, but you talk to everyone, and everyone assumes Wright's going to get back into the world at some point in the future again. But I mean, how long did people really expect Roy, Boeheim, and Kay to stick around? I mean, they weren't. It wasn't surprises when they all got fired or walked away. So it's not necessarily flexing. There are some amazing young coaches. You look around the country, and there's names of young coaches and personalities. And the fact of the matter is, for even the casual fan, you cheer for Laundry, right? Like, no one's a Boeheim fan, you're a Syracuse fan. So You're always going to cheer for whatever, you're going to watch whatever, you know, the orange and white is playing in.
Georgia just repeated in football, but they did so with not exactly the same team, but, you know, same quarterback, probably half the defense, a lot of the same guys on offense. Can Kansas repeat with a very different team?
Yes. I mean, they are one of the best teams in the country, but you have Bill Self now in the hospital. He's not coaching in the Big 12 tournament. And so, and you know, we're talking about coaches. Self is the best X's and O's coach outside of Rick Pitino in college basketball. So, you know, he's the best high major X's and O's. He's the best, you know, probably high major in-game coach. You don't have him for March. And while you do have talent, and you do have Jalen Wilson and DeJuan Harris, who, you know, were on, you know, starters last year and played it for a national championship, you still need, you know, it gets weirder without Self there, right? Like, and that's nothing against Norm Roberts, but Self is Self. And if he's not there, I almost look at it as like the Jalen Clark injury at UCLA, where it's like, well, it's not their real team. Yeah, they're really, really good, but there's kind of a ceiling on how I view them. So if Self's back, yeah, they're for sure. I mean, even without Self, they're for sure a national title contender. They're going to be a number one seed. They're one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the country. But it's just weird trying to figure them winning a title back to back without Self there.
Also, I think last year's team would beat this year's team by about 10, but that doesn't mean you still can't win the title. You mentioned
it'd be interesting for sure. They match up really well against each other. This year's team could just spread them out, though, too.
That's true. That's true. Last year's team a little deeper, but then again, you don't really need depth to win in the tournament. You mentioned Pitino. He's 70. He's clearly going to get mentioned for both the Georgetown and St. John's jobs. Everyone expects St. John's to open up here in the coming days. Let's assume that the St. John's job does open up. First off, if you're Georgetown or St. John's, do you go after Rick Pitino, number one? And then if you're Rick Pitino, which of the two would interest you?
You do whatever it takes to get Rick Pitino. Rick Pitino is one of the 4 best coaches, I think, in college basketball history. And he hasn't lost a step. Like, he's winning whatever he wants at Iona. And Georgetown is on the verge of being irrelevant. St. John's is irrelevant. Like, they haven't made a Big East semifinal in their own secondary home stadium in 23 years. You know, and it's New York City, it's DC. You don't need to leave a 5-mile radius to recruit. You can just throw a football and say, I'm going to try to get this guy. I would probably, I mean, it makes more sense for Pitino to take St. John, and I think it'd be more fun with him at St. John's as a fan. You get him at the Garden, you get him in New York. It always felt right, but I think Georgetown's for sure the better job. So I would take Georgetown if Pitino was from, like, you know, Iowa or something like that instead.
I think if he was 60, he'd take Georgetown, but at 70, A, he doesn't have to move, and B, come on, you and I both know Rick. Rick loves a camera and a microphone. He'll get a lot more of them in the city than he will in D.C.
He's a New York guy, too,
right?
So it's like, it makes sense, right? Like,
right.
He doesn't have to leave Wingfoot, which is all he wants.
He can start telling the stories about how much he loved being the Knicks head coach, and now I get to come back, coach my games at the Garden, blah, blah, blah.
And
all right.
He would win that city over in one interview.
Yes, he would. And if for nothing else, in terms of media attention, it's tough to get media attention in that city with, 37 pro teams and all that. He would get St. John's an awful lot of attention. He's Bobby Reagan, Barstool. Follow him on Twitter, Barstool Reags. Okay, quickly here. You got somebody who's going to run the table. Clemson, Ohio State. Is there a bid buster left?
Oh, man. You know what?
Penn
Ohio
State
does kind of look the part, right? Like, Ohio State, they look the part. Like, they get Michigan State today. I wouldn't be surprised if they win that game.
Yeah, that'd get them to the semis. I mean, they got to go 5 for 5 to do it, but they're 2 for 2 against Wisconsin and Iowa. End of the day, by the way. Did so many teams lose yesterday that Wisconsin's going to find themselves in, or are Wisconsin and Michigan out, Penn State's in, the Big Ten gets 8?
Yeah, Penn State's for sure in, and they should be in. Speaking of a coach who should get every job that he wants, Micah Shrewsbury. But Wisconsin and Michigan, just put them as one seed in NIT. They don't deserve to be in. I don't see how they are in. If you go to Bracket Matrix, which is the cumulative view of all the bracketologists, neither of them are in. And for the love of God, don't make us watch Wisconsin or Michigan's offense again.
A team that most people have out that you're going to bang the table should be in is?
I will go, if Oklahoma State doesn't make it, I'll bang the table for them.
Okay, yeah. And I think a lot of people have them first 4 out right now.
Yeah, so I'll bang the table. I'm a big Oklahoma State fan.
It was a crazy day yesterday. Crazy day.
It only gets better today.
I know. More bubble teams lost yesterday than won. So the bubble is, in a sense, bigger and crazier today than it was yesterday. Bobby, thanks for making time for me. Enjoy the day.
No problem. Have a good time.
Bobby Reagan, Barstool. Follow him on Twitter, Barstool Reags, Reags, Barstool Reags. I will say, and I've said it before, Bobby Reagan and I feel the exact same way about Rick Pitino. Taking a lot of grief for it. Okay, I am one of those. I bring up the IROC reference a lot in racing, in which they used to take like the best 12, 16 drivers they could find. They put them in theory, identical cars. And they would say, go race. All right. And my answer was always, all right, if that's the case, I'll take Dale Earnhardt. And Dale Earnhardt had a great record in IROC. So did Mark Martin, by the way. But here's my feeling. If the teams are even, I'll take Rick Pitino. You can have anybody else. Ever. I'll take Rick Pitino.
See, usually the teams are not even, and they're in favor of Pitino. And
sometimes. All right. And now, granted, obviously he didn't guard Grant Hill on the inbound. Okay. First time he didn't guard the inbound in 8 years. All right. Double team the guy who ultimately ended up catching the ball. Okay. And, Rick can go, I don't know what to tell you. I put 2 guys on him. We let him catch it. I was trying to prevent him catching it. If I had known we needed a third guy, I'd put a third guy. All right. So you can criticize him for not guarding the inbounder. You could also say, well, he double teamed Leitner, who had not missed a shot all day. He's had the right idea.
Do you know what the O in Pitino stands for? Overrated.
Oh, wow. Well, Bobby Reagan's also a Kentucky fan. Okay. And I think Bobby Reagan wishes that he never left. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan next. David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles Or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you send him the link?
Yes, I'm gonna.
Okay, because he likes to hook up.
Have you talked to him?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go.
Oh, actually, he says his internet's bad, so call him.
Okay. Can you send me his number?
Sure.
I know he's one of the best coaches ever. I'm just messing with y'all. But like he's also had some of the most stacked teams ever and lost games that he should have won.
Name one.
I don't know. 7 NBA players losing to Sam Decker and Frank Kaminsky.
That wasn't him.
What was the players?
That wasn't him. Who was
that
he
was
coaching then?
2016. Kentucky.
He was at Louisville.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
No, you're
oh my
thinking
goodness.
John
I'm thinking John Calipari. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Oh, that's bad. I'm so sorry. Ugh.
His 92 through 97 run at Kentucky. He loses the infamous Duke game. He loses in the Final Four to the Fab Five in overtime. And I believe Mashburn fouled out of that one too. In 93. They win it in 96. Anderson blows out his knee, so they lose the championship game to Arizona in 97. He leaves. Tubby takes his guys, wins it all in 98.
Hold on. put in my mouth. God.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, Cal Perry, overrated.
Gotcha.
Not Rick Pitino, the vampire himself. He does look like Dracula. Poll question: does Rick Pitino look like Dracula? Is he a blood-sucking demon?
Yeah, I mean, the only failure on his resume, though, is the Celtics. Got unlucky with the lottery. Should have gotten Duncan that year. It's funny, he drafts Chauncey Billups, who ends up being terrific, just not with him.
He didn't answer. I'm going to call him back. Back in 10.
Should I have him call our hotline?
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton on this Friday in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte to Venice. We are halfway home in the 239. The bonus hour, by the way, will be very local for those in Southwest Florida. FGCU baseball coach Dave Tollett, FGCU women's basketball coach Karl Smesko, both joining us in the bonus hour. Pat Kirwan, kind enough to join us right now. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, Sirius XM's NFL Radio, also part of CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joining us courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West, over a dozen locations in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Top of the morning to you, Pat. How's your week gone?
It's going well. I'm just messing up with the connecting with you guys. Sorry about that, but there's something in the air, and the internet and everything else is not working very well. But here we are. Good to be here, my friend.
Well, thanks for making time for us, even if you're having to walk around the development to do it. We'll try to keep it to a dull roar if that is the case. I thought John Lynch said something interesting yesterday. He admitted to having to learn how to do his job. It's something that you have talked about a lot as somebody who had John's job once. You said, and you have for many years, owners have to learn how to own, GMs have to learn how to GM, coaches have to learn how to coach. And when the Niners got all those compensatory picks yesterday, Lynch, who's been there now, 7 years, said, yeah, I got to admit, first few years I had this job, I didn't fully understand it. And there's some things I would have done differently. And now I have the patience to let guys go and count on getting the draft picks a year later. You don't get honesty like that from a general manager very often, Pat.
No, you don't. And remember, John's background is player. And, we are who we are. So he's from the world of player, and he's from the world of that great Bucks group that played late into their careers and then landed up in Denver playing even later. So in his mindset, guys can play late. And now he's learning what Ozzie Newsome learned a long time ago, and that is let him go. Belichick does it too, and get the compensatories. But John's compensatories are because they've been doing such a great job of getting the African-American coaches and front office executives prepared, and people have been tapping into their structure, really, and they've got all these picks from developing African American guys that move on to head coaching jobs and GM jobs. So good for them. They figured it out. And they were willing to do all this before all these rewards came in compensatory picks. So my hat's off to the 49ers.
Now, granted, they gave up first, second, and third round picks to acquire the likes of Trey Lance and Christian McCaffrey. But, you know, Seattle's record has been documented. Even the Rams, when they won the Super Bowl, had a bunch of day 3 draft picks on the roster. You know, if you're John Lynch and his new front office, having 4 third-round picks now and then 11 picks in this draft, I mean, in theory, you can keep on keeping on even if you don't have many picks on Thursday and Friday.
Well, he's going to learn a lesson here. If he's studying the history of how this GM job works, he'll study Belichick and how many times Belichick parlayed picks into next year's picks. So when he had multiple picks first rounds, he'd move to the second round, grab an extra pick for the year after that. And for about 8 or 9 years, he just kept doubling down on his picks. And I think they have the firepower now to do that. Plus, not too long ago, the NFL decided very nicely to make compensatory picks tradable. And once they did that, they doubled in value. So, Don, if he's and his head coach has clear vision of what he wants and the kind of guys he wants. So I think John will, pay attention to the marching orders of Shanahan.
I don't know if you agree with me. And we're talking with Pat Kirwan, SiriusXM's NFL Radio, brought to you courtesy of Pinchers. Zadarius Smith and what he's trying to pull in Minnesota. This is very NBA, all right, in which the player just decides, this is what I want, and if it's what I want, it's going to happen. And in the NFL, that hardly ever happens. But we got the cap, and the Vikings do need to cut either him or Harrison Smith to probably get to the cap, and then maybe even something else. And then also, in theory, if you're going to hold on to a guy who basically says, I'm not going to show up at training camp, I mean, Pat, do you end up moving the guy, or do you dig in and go, yeah, if I let you get away with this, my life for the next 10 years is going to be miserable?
If I need him, I'm not going to pay attention to his, shouting and yelling. I'm just going to know he's going to be here. I'll find him to the full extent. And we changed that law too. You can't rescind the fines anymore. It took all the pressure off the club, because it used to be, well, you know what, let me rescind it after he finally shows up missing 30 days because you want him to come in, but you can't even do that anymore. So they will make his agent aware, which I'm sure he already knows, what the fine structure will be. And if you stay out the whole summer, you will lose $1 million. That's what it turns into. And so I think he'll be there. I would ignore the I'm screaming to be let go, and unless I wanted him to go. Now, they got an old defense, and I've talked to a couple of guys who were there last year and the year before. They're too old. And so the problem with age is you can't run fast anymore, and you can't recover quickly from injuries. So they need to be purging that thing anyway. The last thing I want is for that player or the other players, and more importantly, their agents, to think, if I scream and yell, they'll let my guy go. And, let him go in August when he's back or something, but don't let him go now.
Well, and Pat, my argument is, first off, I do think they need to cut Harrison Smith. He's worth a third of what he's getting paid now, even though he's an all-time Viking great, arguably their second best safety ever. But I would move on from him as well, and that's how I would get to the cap.
Well,
that's me. But I can always trade Zadarius Smith. Like, we're going to have a really sexy group of veteran free agent edge rushers. But somebody's going to get left out, and they're going to go, damn, we didn't get a pass rusher. Well, I could always turn around in July or August and trade him Zadarius Smith.
Yes, you can. And teams like Baltimore had traditionally taken older. Oh, and that's right. He was a Raven once, and they love bringing their own guys back, and they've done that before. But they have no problem with the older pass rushers. And I saw they just hired Chuck Smith. I'm sure Chuck will tell everyone he can get Justin Houston to still rush the passer. But let me make a point to you, though. This is something I discussed yesterday. So when you look at the free agent group, and that's 1/3 of the league, and growing because of the cap casualties. We're up to 25 of those guys, and many of them are better players than the guys at free agency. But here's what I was talking with Mickey Loomis about yesterday. If you just put into your computer, or like I do, okay, only 28 or younger, there's parameter one, no older than 28, and no less than 80% playing time last year. I want young guys that played. You know how many guys show up in the whole free agency class? 29 in the whole free agency class. And here's the breakdown, David. Quarterbacks, none. Running backs, none. Wide receivers, 2. Tight ends, none. Offensive tackles, 4. Bingo. Guards and centers, 4. Fullbacks, none. Here we go. Just to your point. Defensive ends, pass rushers, none. Defensive tackles, none. Linebackers, 6. And here's why you can let Harrison go. Safeties, 10. 10.
Here, one counterpoint with that. I know that most of these defensive ends are all between 29 and 31 years old, so they don't qualify for your criteria. But that doesn't mean they don't have 1 or 2 more years in them. And you know what? Maybe at that age, I only want them playing 60% of the snaps anyway.
Well, here it is. 28 and 60% of the snaps. In pass rushers, there's 2. Ngakoue and Ameniu. So here's the problem with what you said. I agree with you. 31-year-old guys can play. The problem is they want 4-year contracts.
Yes,
they know they're 31. They don't want just 2. They want a third-year guaranteed. And that's why in free agency, and I learned the hard way. I learned what John's learning. You keep doing 31 and 32-year-olds, your team will look like the Rams before you know it.
He's Pat Kirwan, SiriusXM's NFL Radio, CBS's NFL Today show, brought to us once again courtesy of Pinchers. Is there any intrigue with this Aaron Rodgers situation anymore, or is it a foregone conclusion he's going to the Jets, it's just the compensation? Or is there actually, from who you're talking to, some doubt as to whether he wants to do it?
I think with Rodgers, there's always doubt. He could wake up tomorrow and think he wants to, climb some mountain and not come back. So, and that may happen after he gets there. I said this the other day. If you're really recruiting Rodgers and you want to make sure he plays, you need to bring him to your place. If he turns you down, I don't want to come. What does that tell you about? Does he really want to play for you? You think he should want to come in and see where it's going to be and where is he going to live? If I don't have any interest from any player in that area, when I ran free agency, it was a big question mark. And you know what? We want to bring you and your wife in for a weekend. I don't want to. You know what I found out over about 5 years of doing that? Those guys feel like mercenary soldiers. They're never going to be part of your team. They're going to try to go home on Tuesdays, their day off. And I would be telling him, you know what? Come on in, Rodgers. We want to spend the rest of our time talking in our building and bringing you around and seeing where you're going to live. And if he doesn't want to do that, what's it tell you, David? It tells me something.
And Pat, we got less than a minute. You know that organization, you know that market. Can Rodgers handle it?
Maybe not. Now, the facility is way out in the country in Jersey.
Right. It's in Florham Park, New Jersey. It's the suburbs. It's nice.
It's nice, and it's really close to the country. On the other side of it, on the western side, it's,
yes.
Farms like the hunting over there.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's the closest. It's the only part of Jersey that could resemble Wisconsin. He's like 15 minutes from it.
Yes, and if he likes space and quiet, but you know what I mean about recruiting him?
Yeah, totally. I'm with you. First off, if he won't get on the plane, and we got to go to break, if he won't get on the plane and come to me, I'm automatically not interested. If he won't even come to Jersey, we're done.
Yeah, and you know what's going on? While all this is going on, the Packers know there's no other team, so they're going to start thinking about, let's get more compensation.
More with Pat
Mark
after
Miller
this.
for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what's up, Pat?
How you doing?
Ooh, I don't know what the hell that was.
Not me.
No, that was me. Internet sucks today.
I can't, I got a lock. They got to send me a code number to get into my internet. It's part of the security system, and it won't transfer. It doesn't come across no matter what I tried to do.
What internet do you have?
I have Google, but I'm using, what do you call it? You know the name of this stuff. Microsoft.
How are you going to do your show today?
I have no idea yet. It's a long way to 3 o'clock.
Okay.
This happened here the other day, and they were working on it. So it's kind of like, I have 2 systems in the house. We'll see if the other system's working. But, at 7:50, 10 minutes before I go on, I go put it. I couldn't get it to connect at all. So I hate moving this phone. There's one bar on this phone, so I'm not really interested in moving the phone either.
Huh. Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, well, I'll call my brother, and if he's got internet at his house, I'll just drive down there. And by the way, I needed you today. I know you're away or doing something, but I'm on with Bill Leckus. I haven't been with him in like 5 years.
How come they couldn't get the voice of the Raiders there?
I don't think he's ever doing shows with us anymore.
Seriously?
I've never hear him on the air with us.
Because I was led to believe he's your number. I'm not your number one. He's your number 2.
I told him he's number 2, and I don't know where he is, but he might be on vacation for all I know. But I never hear him on any shows.
That's weird because I know he'll do the NCAA. He'll host the NCAA basketball tournament next week on Westwood One. So,
he might be doing a conference basketball.
Yeah, maybe.
But he does the draft with me, so
right.
It's, he's not out of the loop, but He's not. I haven't seen him around, so I guarantee you he's got basketball going on.
Well, you know why you got Lekis, because he's salary, and they don't want to spend. That's what I was.
I know why they got Lekis, and I know why. I know why they have the rest of the list, but they. It's what it is.
Yeah.
Hey, when you cut 475 people, I don't think there's a lot of leverage for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, I know.
And apparently, they let all 475 know via email.
Well, not only that, who was the longtime Mad Dog guy they let go?
Big Bill.
I know. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yep. They didn't let one person go from football.
You saw the report about Teron Armstead. The Dolphins reworked his deal and just freed up $11 million more dollars of cap space.
Yeah, well, that means they have to pay off the $11 million at other times. It's never for free. Most of my callers still think it's like they saved money. No,
they
they
kicked
took
the
out
can.
a credit card and paid them off with a credit card.
Right.
But are they setting up? Are they going for it this year?
Well, they're freeing up room so that they can sign some free agents. That's what they're doing.
Okay, so they're going for it.
Well, Stephen Ross goes for it every year.
They're not going to get there. I know you love your Dolphins, but your quarterback stinks.
Oh, here we go.
Thanks, Pat. Appreciate it. He's also
he's really good for 8 games and then not available for 8 more.
Well, but then that's fine. Then Tom will take care of the other 9.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, yeah. Why do you think he told Fox he's not coming for a year?
10 seconds.
How long does it take to find a prep school for your kids? A week?
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan, SiriusXM's NFL Radio. Moving the Chains is the show, 3 to 7 weekdays. And during the season, him and Jim also do 2 to 5 on Saturdays. I believe they don't do that now after the Super Bowl. Pat, also part of CBS's NFL Today show. They will have the Super Bowl next year in Vegas. Dolphins, by the way, Field Yates first to report a few minutes ago that they just created $11 million more in cap space by reworking Teron Armstead's contract. So $14 million they created yesterday, 11 today. That's $25 million. Pat, that's so that they can go from being at the cap to having some money to sign a few guys. Basically, they're this is the Rams and Saints way of doing business, isn't it?
Yeah, and so dead money is going to be. People have this misnomer that the money disappeared. It didn't. It just got moved to future years. And sooner or later, you're going to cut Teron Armstead, and there'll be a dead spot of money. So here's the 5 worst dead cap money teams. That means money that they're being charged against the cap for players who no longer play there. Chicago, $22 million, but they can afford it. They got space. Tennessee went from 21 to 29 yesterday. So they're at $29 million of dead cap. Carolina's at 32. The Raiders are 29. And my favorite, the Philadelphia Eagles at $54 million of dead cap space.
Wow. Good thing they don't have to pay their quarterback yet. One more year without having to pay their quarterback. By the way, will there be fallout in Baltimore, or besides hurt feelings, will it really be business as usual as if he's a safety? I mean, he got tagged, and they're probably not going to be able to work out a long-term deal because both sides are sticking to their proverbial guns. And, what choice does Lamar have? He's got to show up and play.
Yeah, he's going to show up and play. His paycheck per game is $1.8 million. I don't think he's missing any games for starters. And secondly, he acts, and the public and the media act like the Ravens did something terrible to him. Now, I've talked to Chris Mortensen about it the other day. Mort goes, come on, Pat, you know what's going to happen here. Nobody's going to put an offer in for him because they think they're just doing the negotiations for the Ravens, because none of them are going to do a 5-year, $250 million fully guaranteed deal, because if the Ravens turned it down, they'd be stuck with it. So it's going to be very hard for him to get a one-time tender offer from another team in order to get either a match from the Ravens or be set free for 2 first-round picks. Like, I laugh when people go, well, what about the Dolphins? He lives in South Florida. They don't have a first-round pick. You've covered all this. You know. But here's the funny part, and it is quite funny to me. Hi, this is Lamar Jackson. Is the GM in? I'd like to ask him if he wants me. He has no agent.
Pat, is there any wiggle room with the draft pick compensation? I don't just mean for Lamar. You know, there were 5 other guys who got tagged. Does it have to be 2 first-round picks, one this year, one next, or is there wiggle room?
Yeah, it's already been there's precedent for that. People have taken less when they really hate the guy. They tag him so they can trade him, and there's a big difference. I don't think at this time Baltimore's tagged him to trade him. They've tagged him to retain him. But if you tag him to trade him, you'll take less, and people have taken less in the past. So yeah, they could take less, but I guarantee you the Ravens aren't taking less for this guy.
Listen,
and
everybody,
they're not going to have to deal with it, because I would be shocked if an offer comes in.
Everyone loves what Seattle did with Geno Smith. You know, he gets half the contract up front in the first year, but they can walk away pretty quickly, which gives them a lot of flexibility. They could draft a quarterback at 5. They could, you know, just move on from Geno if he has a bad year. What'd you think, though, about the Giants deal ultimately with Daniel Jones? For this year, his cap hits 18, but ultimately he's going to get his $82 million within the first 2 years. That's getting paid.
Yeah, I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for the team. So I say this on the air with you a lot. It's percentage of cap. Don't worry about the dollars. The dollars have changed. Cap's grown. Nobody studies the cap growth. You do. The fans don't. And so they don't understand conceptually this is about cap percentage. So here it is. Jones, 8.4% of the cap this year. That's a steal. Next year, 17.6%. Based on my projections. That's okay. The third year is really interesting. 13.8% of the cap. It goes down 4%. And then it finishes up in year 4 at 18.2%. So they're never even going to spend 20% of the cap on this quarterback. That's a good deal. Carr has an interesting parallel deal. 3% in the first year. I talked to Mickey Loomis yesterday, and they needed to do that. Then it goes to 14.5%. Then it goes to 16.4%, and then it wraps up exactly where Jones's deal does at 18.2%. So these two GMs know what they have. They have quarterbacks they need and want, and they're never tapping 20% of the salary cap to keep them under contract. So they're good deals.
Pat, I was playing general manager yesterday, and I was trying to envision, is there a team that can make an A.J. Brown-like trade this year? Now, I don't think there's a 25, 26-year-old wide receiver that is going to be made available. It's possible, but I don't see one today. I know Diggs is making some, noise in Buffalo. But how about a Mike Evans who turns 30 this year? D-Hop's on the market. And I'm wondering, if you're Baltimore at 22, if you're Dallas at 26, is there a receiver out there that is worth the Eagles trade last year with the Titans, in which you're like, listen, I'll give you my number 1, put this guy on my team. My quarterback needs a number 1 wide receiver. I wouldn't do it for D-Hop, but I got to admit, Pat, I would call, if I'm Baltimore, I would call the Bucs up and say, I'll give you 22 for Mike Evans right now. Yes or no?
Well, let's go back to why AJ was traded. They were going to cap jail real fast, and they knew they couldn't afford to sign him, so they were going to get what they thought was premier compensation at the time. And of course, it got the GM fired. So you're bringing up Mike Evans in Tampa. Did you see their cap situation?
Yeah, it's bad.
So that's why they might be saying yes to that. They are in real trouble. The number one cap charge on their books is Tom Brady, who doesn't even play there anymore, and it's just almost $16 million of cap space. So, yeah, they might be willing to. No, excuse me. They might have to do it. And that's when things get fun. When you have to bail out on a guy, then you'll see something go on like that. And, I don't like the Ram receivers that would be available, but they're going to have to bail out on people. Michael Thomas' contract is going to void here, so you can get him without giving anything away if you believe he's healthy enough to play. So there's going to be some receivers. There always are. And you never know. I think we were surprised by Brown last year. Everyone still tries to get Cooks out of Houston, and I wonder if Diggs ever becomes available in Buffalo. I complain a little bit too much.
Yeah, I wonder as well. If you're Buffalo, I don't think you can afford to get rid of them. But then again, I don't know if you can afford to make them happy.
Well, I'll tell you what I would do.
30 seconds.
You're a Giant fan. I'd wait till they cut Thielen and put him on my team.
Ooh, how about that? He's Pat Kirwan, SiriusXM's NFL Radio. You'll listen to him today from 3 until 7. And he's also part of CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joining us courtesy of Pinchers. Tampa to Key West, a dozen locations in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Pat, have a great weekend. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend, folks.
Pat Kirwan, kind enough to join us. He'll join us again on Tuesday of next week. The new NFL business year begins lunchtime on Wednesday. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for being with us. Mark will be back on Monday here on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Do you know who Ty Jerome is?
I don't think so.
Young guy on Golden State. Golden State was running a lineup. It was Draymond, Iggy, Steph, another young guy, and Ty Jerome, who is a young guard. And they just ran this beautiful fast break. Draymond got a block. He threw a perfect pass midcourt to Steph. Steph made a move, threw a bounce pass to Iggy. Iggy gets it, throws it in the corner to Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome makes a three. He was hyped. This kid is my age. Like, I can't even imagine what he was thinking on the court when he made that three. It's like, I mean, I was 16 years old watching these guys win 73 games. And I just completed 3 potential Hall of Famers fast breaks.
During the game, he's not thinking that. But he had those moments when he first was on the team, when he was at practice. I mean, in a much smaller way. I mean, being around Vern Lundquist, Joe Buck, Troy, even Gary, now he's such a good friend that, but I mean, originally you're like, like my first network broadcast was Vern Lundquist, Gary Danielson.
Damn.
Prime time.
Yeah.
Florida, Tennessee, in Knoxville. And I'm looking around, and I've been in the business 20 years, and I'm looking around going, I ain't never been in anything like this, so.
But that has to be amazing.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I mean, Draymond, Steph, Iguodala. That's Warriors Ring of Honor right there. Also, did you see the question that Adam asked before last segment? He goes, David, if you were a GM and Philly was a kicker, what type of structured contract would you give him?
You know how I feel about kickers. First off, apparently some good kickers are getting cut here. Philly's job would be in trouble. He's a young, unproven kicker. It looks like Robbie Gould's going to be available. No offense. Robbie Gould's going to be my kicker.
I don't know how much of an issue this is, but I'm a lefty.
It doesn't matter.
Are there a lot of lefty kickers?
No. In fact, can't remember one since Janikowski. But Gary found me, Arch. He was stuck in traffic listening to me 20 years ago do the local radio show. And apparently I made a few observations about the game that he did. And he didn't know if I was right or not. And so he looked at the tape, and apparently I was right. And so he thought, this guy pays attention.
No way.
And Gary actually invited himself onto the show. Gary and I became friendly, and he did 2 years as a regular guest on my show before I ever had the chance to work with him. So Robbie or Hops, Gould may be 137 years old. All right. The ball goes through the uprights every damn time. It does in the playoffs. I'll tell you that. He's never missed a playoff kick ever.
You can be old and be a kicker.
Damn
too.
right.
Yeah.
As for Troy, that came through Joe. I did golf with Joe, and Troy was going to add a spotter, and he didn't know who to add. And so Joe said, you should hire my guy for golf. He does Danielson football. So Joe kind of forced me on Troy.
10 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. We go pretty local in the 239 in the bonus hour. A couple of FGCU head coaches, baseball, women's basketball, both nationally ranked, by the way.
Hashtag we know.
That's the baseball team's hashtag. We'll ask their head coach, Dave Tollett, about it coming up in about 25 minutes' time. But in our remaining moments for Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte to Venice. Huge hoops day once again. Don't know if it's enough to fire you up. Miami, Duke in the semis.
Come on now.
Well, You're playing for a better seed. I believe this is important. Most people have Miami in a 4-5 type seeding situation. If I'm correct, which oftentimes I'm not, but if I'm correct, Felipe, I think the 12s and the 13s this year, and, what do you get in the tournament? 5 plays the 12, 4 plays the 13, that the 12s and the 13s this year are going to be excellent. Excellent. And so if you win the ACC, if you're Miami, do you move all the way up to a 3 seed? I think that would be significant.
Why don't you move up to a 2 seed? I'm not understanding something.
All right. Well, here, I got a bracket right in front of me. All right. I got a bracket right in front of me. Now, admittedly, neither one of us have Miami's full resume in front of them and what have you. But here's Shelby Mast's bracket. For the record, he moved UCLA back to a 2 because one of their best players just got hurt and he's going to be out. So he's got Purdue back as a 1. He's got Texas, Arizona, Baylor, UCLA on the 2 line. Do you think Miami should be ranked ahead of any of them? No.
Maybe not.
No. Okay, here's the 3 line. Tennessee, Gonzaga, Marquette, Kansas State.
Yes, they should be a 3.
Okay, well, first off, name 1. And secondly, this is where the rest of these conference tournaments could really play a role. What if Marquette wins the Big East? Tough for Miami to leapfrog them. Most everybody has Marquette ahead of Miami heading into this weekend. All right, what about Kansas State? All right, now I think that's the vulnerable one. Kansas State could end up with 10 losses here. All right, that's the team that I think Miami, who's only got 6 losses, although the Florida, what's killing Miami right now?
Is that Florida State loss.
Absolutely.
Yep.
They'd be no worse than a 4 seed with a chance to be a 3. In fact, they might even be a 3 if not for the Florida State loss. All right. Tennessee. If Tennessee doesn't win the SEC, that means they'll suffer a 10th loss. So there is room, I think, for somebody on the 4-5 line, whether it's Xavier, whether it's UConn, Virginia, if they win the ACC. Remember, we don't have an ACC champion getting a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd seed right now in Shelby's bracket. We have Virginia with a 4, Miami a 5, all right, and Duke a 5. That's why, Miami and Duke playing tonight, you could argue winner's going to move up to a 4, and then could they move up to a 3? Here's why I think it's important. The 12 line for Shelby Mast. Oral Roberts, 30 wins, conference champion. Charleston, 31 wins, conference champion. Drake, a good team, 27 wins. They won the Valley again. They took 2 out of 3 from Bradley. This team has tournament experience. They have a good coach. They have a veteran backcourt. This is a better team than the one a few years ago that went to the tournament and beat Wichita State when Wichita State was still Wichita State. Those are the 12s, and Toledo. Toledo's playing Kent State tonight, by the way, in a hell of a game. All right, and the 2 teams hate each other in a semi. That's the 12 line. Here's the 13 line. The Raging Cajuns, VCU, Patino and Iona, Utah Valley. And they've got Utah Valley as a conference champion. There are those that believe Utah Valley would get in as an at-large. That's the 12 and the 13 line. I'm telling you, a lot of those teams are going to win a game.
I can't say much because Miami has been in this situation before.
Yeah.
In 2018, they had a phenomenal season. They didn't win the ACC tournament, but they had a phenomenal season, and they had the pleasure of facing Loyola Chicago in the first round.
Listen, even on the 14 line, I'm high on Colgate. They're a 14 seed. Furman's a 14 seed. Well, who is also 14? The Anteaters of UC Irvine. Kennesaw State out of the A-Sun. You could say that's a big drop off. a couple of the teams on the 14 line versus the teams we just rattled off on the 12-13. And that's why most of us don't pay attention to seeding. Whatever, they're in. I'm telling you, the 4s and the 5s are going to have really difficult draws. And the 3s are not necessarily going to have difficult draws in comparison. And so that's why the end of these conference tournaments, I feel, have meaning. I mean, this is very nooks and crannies-ish here, but I'm telling you, you got to, if you're to go far, you got to get out of the first round. And the first round for the 4s and 5s are going to be hard.
Gritty.
So anyway, Miami-Duke tonight, ACC semi. The other ACC semi is probably a play-in game for Clemson. They are right there on the bubble. Right there. All right. Shelby, for what it's worth, has them on the first 4 outlined. Clemson, Virginia. And Virginia's playing, you could see where they could be a 3. So
they're in the same boat as Miami. They were co-regular season champions.
Right. So, we got Penn State Northwestern today. Is Penn State in? Most people think after yesterday they are. But if you lose, are you really in? What if there's 1 or 2 bids that get stolen? Could Ohio State be that bid? Could Clemson steal the bid from Penn State?
Which, can I say something really quick? Just because it still lingers in my brain. I think that Miami celebrated a co-regular season ACC championship a little too much.
I don't.
How much does that really mean, though?
To them, it means a lot.
Well, yeah, because you basically punch a ticket in March Madness.
Well, no, they were in anyway. But no, it's a big deal. Listen, there's not been a ton of winning in the University of Miami sports lately. The baseball program ain't what it used to be. All right. Goodness knows the football program ain't back. All right. And that's the second time that they can say we've won the ACC in the last 11 seasons.
But is that winning the ACC or is winning the tournament the ACC?
No. I said ACC regular season.
Right.
It's the second time they've been the 1 seed. Can I ask you a question? How many times have they played for the ACC championship in football? How many ACC baseball championships have they won in the last 10, 11 years?
Zip.
All right.
Zilch.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Celebrate. We won, damn it. See, ACC, they don't even want us. They don't even consider us part of the conference. All right. Yeah, we won the damn thing.
But it's like the President's Cup with the Panthers. That's the vibe that I got from it.
Okay. And see, to me, they wanted it home. They had a good crowd. That's another thing.
Great crowd.
Miami basketball is a lot like USC basketball. All right. Whenever they get a good crowd at a home basketball game, that's a big deal.
Shout out Category 5.
They get like 2 a year. One of them's UCLA. And then if all of a sudden a good crowd shows up for another game, they're like, I'll be damned. Wow. Okay. So no, you are who you are. You're Miami men's basketball. Don't act like you're Duke. Don't act like you're Carolina. Don't. You're not Kentucky. You're not Kansas.
All right, but
no,
job's not finished.
First off,
what are we playing for? You play to win the game.
Yeah, and they did. And they're the 1 seed in the ACC tournament. That's worth celebrating if you're Miami. Now, if they jump up and down in Duke and Carolina for doing that, you get a little concerned. But at Miami, hell yeah. I see it differently. I think you got to know who you are. I'm big on knowing who you are. All right. And Miami is not a blue blood in basketball.
No.
They still think of themselves as a blue blood in football. Okay.
Which is hilarious.
They're not,
by the
but
way.
they could be again.
I hear that every year.
How about this? Miami football this year wins the final home game of the regular season to clinch a spot in the ACC championship. All right. And they celebrate like crazy on the field. You got a problem with it? I don't. They haven't done this. They backed into one appearance into the ACC championship game. That's it. Yeah. Wow. We won it. We earned our way into the ACC title game. Okay. We haven't done that before. Now, we thought we were going to do it before, but no. If Miami celebrates in a big way, if they win the final game at home to qualify as one of the two best teams in the ACC, in which this year, by the way, preseason, Clemson and Florida State are both going to be in the top 10. So Miami's not expected to go to the game. Second year under Mario, hey, we're back competing for conference championships again. All right. That probably, by the way, if it does not guarantee you a spot in the future of being in the playoff, would put you right there. That'll be a BFD coming up here real soon. You qualify for the conference championship game. Forget the fact that if you win it, you're automatically in. Just getting into the game puts you right there as to whether or not you've already qualified for the playoff. Yeah, celebrate the hell out of it.
I just wish it wasn't co-champions, which again, there's nothing the Hurricanes can do about it. The Cavaliers have the same record.
Who had the 1 seed? And they played once this year. Who won?
Miami.
Okay, then
honestly, then why were they co-champions?
They had the same record, but that's why Miami got the 1. I could argue, by the way, it's the worst draw. They had to play Wake Forest and Greensboro. Now they're playing Duke.
You know, in 2000, Florida State and Miami had the same record in football, but only one went to the national championship.
Yeah, but a computer was involved there. And, you know, to err is human, but to really blank things up, you need a computer.
Yeah.
But so, listen, to me, yesterday was an awesome day. There was like 10, 12 games that involved teams until 1, 2 in the morning, too. I mean, some West Coast games. Boise State wins in overtime to guarantee their spot into the field. Arizona State held off USC to guarantee their spot, I believe, in the field. I think the last 2 weeks, Arizona State beating Arizona on the road and USC on a neutral floor. I think Arizona State has played their way in. By the way, I think Bobby Hurley's leaving. I think Bobby Hurley's going to head east. Wouldn't shock me, Georgetown, St. John's, if one of those jobs goes Rick Pitino and the other job goes Bobby Hurley. Would not shock me.
What about Syracuse?
Okay. They already named Autry. So just throwing that out there. He's entering the final year of his contract. Him and his AD hate each other. I have a feeling Hurley make the tournament and leave. And the AD will be like, don't let the door hit you. So just throwing that out there. But
the action continues tonight.
Yeah. Terrific. Bunch of games. There's still some bubble teams who need a win. You know, Clemson playing Virginia in the ACC semi probably needs a win. Vandy's playing Kentucky in the SEC. Vandy, I'll tell you what, this is you want to talk about a team that was DEAD 3-4 weeks ago, and they have done nothing but win games. And they beat LSU yesterday, and now they got a shot at Kentucky. And I'm telling you, Vandy's a potential bid stealer. Vandy's got a better chance of stealing a bid than Ohio State does. I'm just saying.
They really have been on
fire. Yes, they have. And goodness knows the SEC is winnable. So Vandy beats Kentucky tonight. Don't be surprised if they're like last team in. Just throwing that out there. But a lot of college hoops obviously going on this time of year. Pay attention to Twitter, really, because NFL teams are clearing out cap space. If you missed it, the Dolphins already this morning clearing out about $11 million worth of room and rearranging Teron Armstead's contract. They did not get rid of him. They just gave him some upfront cash and kicked the can down the road. So
who are they going to sign? They're doing this to sign someone,
yes.
Sign people.
Believe it or not, A, I think they need an interior offensive lineman. And B, I think they need a linebacker, maybe even 2. And I think Vic's got his eye on a couple of Broncos who are going to be let go. And it wouldn't shock me if they need a running back. I think right now they technically only have 1 on the entire roster.
Yeah, Mostert.
So that's why I believe they've freed up $25 million in the last 24 hours.
They're up to something.
Miller and Moulton. For those listening along the network, have yourselves a great weekend. For those in the 239, the bonus hour is next. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Let's see. Seth, you asked about what happened to Troy's spotter. Troy didn't have one. And Gary, who did 15 years with ABC, he didn't have a spotter when he was at ABC. So he moves over to CBS. They have a spotter position, and which is often the case. The announcers bring their guys with them. So even if, like, for instance, I was the spotter at Fox on their A team. Well, when Troy left, could I have stayed and been, Greg Olson's spotter? I could have, but Olson already had a guy, his brother. So if Fox tried to say to him, hey, we got a guy, Greg would have said, no, I got a guy. That's all right. I'm good. So, and in Gary's case, Gary just said, well, if I'm going to work with a spotter, let me try working with a guy I know. So Gary brought me with him. In the case with Troy, they didn't have a spotter. in 2018, Troy said, I'd really like a spotter. Apparently everybody else has a spotter. And they went, okay. And then Troy actually hired somebody, but he could only do Thursday nights, Babe Laufenberg, because Babe does Cowboys radio. And Babe is a friend of Troy, teammate of Troy, the whole deal. So Troy still needed somebody for Sundays. And so Joe kind of forced me on him. Not kind of, he did. And basically, Troy decided, I'll take you for all the games. I went, oh, okay. I get paid when I was at CBS. CBS pays me. When I was at Fox, Fox pays me. Now with Monday Night Football, Troy pays me.
Interesting. The mouse doesn't pay you.
No, I worked out a deal on the side.
Let me ask you something.
And no, I've never met Greg Olson, DC.
With word of mouth, can you, just because so many people ask me, what do you do what is a spotter? I know this, but I want to hear you explain it.
It's basically, and you got to call Toe here. It's basically I'm an assistant. And that doesn't mean, I carry the luggage, but I'm an extra set of eyes, ears, hands, and it's up to the announcer as to how much I can do. Like I do more for Gary than I do for Troy. Troy handles most of the replays himself. Okay, Gary handles the replays, but I assist. So
what do you tell him that he doesn't realize, though?
Very quickly, Troy, while he's doing the replay, does not see the substitutions that are being made. So when Troy's done doing the replay and the next play is about to start, I'll say in his ear, hey, they're in dime. And by the way, we got one-on-one top of the screen.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour on this Friday. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. It'll be very local in the bonus hour today. Very FGCU-centric, in fact. Baseball and then women's basketball. Two nationally ranked programs. Thank you very much. Dave Tollett, the only baseball coach that FGCU has ever had, joins us from Tallahassee once again. What the heck are you doing back in Tallahassee? Weren't you there last weekend?
We were. We kind of had a good trip, so we decided to come back for another weekend.
FAMU, I believe, on the docket for 3 games. If you haven't heard, FGCU baseball, nationally ranked 12-2, best start in school history. And they went to Tallahassee last weekend, took 2 or 3 from the Knolls, the first non-conference team to win a series in Tallahassee in nearly 20 years. Listen, I know you always think you're going to be good. Did you think you'd be this good this early?
We did. I mean, we have a lot of veterans on this team, and we thought we were going to be better than we were last year. And we had a decent year. We just didn't get it done in the end, losing 2 one-run ball games in the tournament. But we really felt that we could be pretty decent this year for sure.
There's 2 things from afar that I've noticed. First off, you guys are relentless. I mean, that 3rd and 4th time through the lineup, you guys destroy pitching. And I'm just curious, is that something that a team has before the start of the season, or is that something that early in the season you do it a couple times and then you expect to do it?
Well, last year we had 0 come from behind wins, and it was a big preseason. And in the fall, we challenged them. We would put the starting lineup 3 runs down. We would make them hit with wood bats, and just made it really, really tough on them. And boy, I tell you what, it's really shown up because we do have some come from behind wins.
Friday and Saturday last week, winning at Florida State. But not only that, I mean, Coach, you just went to Troy, who was undefeated and won both midweek games. That's not throwing your number 1 and 2 starters out there. That's throwing, a bunch of guys out there hoping to get some pitching. And oh, by the way, you scored 23 runs. I mean, I don't want to say it was as impressive as taking 2 out of 3 against the Noles, but damn, that was impressive.
I thought it was. I thought Troy is a really, really good baseball team. I thought we were basically looking ourselves in the mirror because they had the same type of offensive numbers as we did. And they had some really, really good arms. And for us to win 2 midweek like that, and we had to mix and match because we got a little injury at the top of our rotation, which might plague us a little bit. But, I mean, hopefully we get him back next week against Liberty. But so we had a lot of guys step up on the mound, and then just our bats continue to be on fire at Troy.
FGCU 12-2. They have the 3-game series against FAMU. And then, as Dave Tollett mentioned, they're home next weekend, and they're playing the preseason favorite. And the team that's won it a few times here recently in Liberty. And so they start conference play with arguably the 2 best teams in the conference playing over at Swanson. If you haven't seen FGCU baseball yet this year, Friday, Saturday, Sunday next week might not be a bad opportunity to do so. And remember, you can get a beer at these games now. Is this still, in a way, it can haunt a program, but also benefit a program? You've still got guys on your program who are with you through COVID, right? Is this the beneficiary? It's hurt you in that you can't recruit as many guys as you want, but if you can figure out your roster, sometimes you can be deeper longer.
No question. I mean, this is the last of the COVID group, which has been a really special group. But it's definitely helped us. We're very mature with our at-bats. We're very mature the way we carry ourselves. I mean, some of these guys are going to be 23 years old. I mean, they're men. And so from that aspect, it has really, really helped us.
Okay. Now, come on, play along with me here, Coach. Last week, when you beat Florida State on Friday night, Next Level Baseball tweeted out, FGCU gets the win on the road versus nationally ranked Power 5 on a Friday night. Teams take on the personality of their head coach. And Dave Tollett is tough as woodpecker lips. A, had you ever heard it before? And B, do you know how tough a woodpecker lip is?
I've never heard that before, but the kids kind of like it. So they tell me when we get back, they'll get me a Woody Woodpecker shirt. So, no, I've never heard that, but I do know the woodpecker that sits outside my house that will beat on the telephone poles and the metal poles. Yeah, it's a pretty tough lip, I guess. Or beak.
Did you take it as a compliment, or did you want to reach out to them and say, come on, guys? I mean, because that's tough. That's not old shoe leather there. I mean, woodpecker lips is a whole new level of tough.
I took it as a compliment. I really did. But the kids have had a lot of fun with it. And so it's been good. But we are. I mean, that's the way we go about things. I think our kids are tough. I think they have to be tough to win at the mid Division I level against top ranked teams. And so we always talk about our toughness. And in this group, as I said earlier, I mean, they're a lot older, but man, I tell you what, they're tough also.
All right. What's we know? Like, you beat Florida State a couple times, and the guys are literally holding up signs that say, we know. Hashtag we know. What is that all about?
That's all about, I mean, that basically started here about 3 weeks ago. And I said, hey, there's only 40 of us that know how good we are. but we get a chance to let a lot of people know how good we are. But we know, and I just kept saying it, and that's the only sign I put up in the dugout is we know, and that's all that really has to matter in this whole thing is we know how good we are. But we get a chance to go prove how good we are in these 8 games, and which will be so beneficial for the RPI because we get 1.3 for road wins. And at home we only get 0.07. So this trip has been really, really good for RPI wise.
FGCU 4-1 on this big road trip, taking 2 out of 3 at Florida State, winning both midweek games at Troy. They're back in Tallahassee tonight and through the weekend, 3 games against FAMU, trying to accrue as many RPI points as possible. And Felipe, you pay attention to this in other sports. FGCU in the RPI in college baseball right now, they're ranked in the top 25. Their RPI is 4th. 4th in the country is FGCU's RPI right now. So now you can't just walk in and play the underdog card, can you? Now it's a totally different deal.
No, that is definitely gone for sure. And we spoke to them last night in the team meeting about that. Now you got a little target. Let's see how we are with the target. We got a tough test tonight with FAMU, with their Friday night guys, 92-96, transfer from Auburn. And so it'll be a good test for us. And Woody, for precautionary reasons right now, we're not going to throw Woodward tonight. So it's going to be a good battle. We're going to be tested tonight.
And then next Friday, Saturday, Sunday at home against Liberty, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That'll be a big series.
Hey, listen, you're the ones winning these big games. I have to call you sir. You don't call me sir. You're the guy as tough as woodpecker lips. I mean, you know how soft I am, Toe. Come on.
We have a lot of similarities.
I don't know if I'm afraid of you expanding on that or not. I think I'll just leave it at that. Hey, good luck this weekend. At least win the series. Safe travels home. And I urge everybody next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, find a way to head to Swanson Stadium. 2 best teams in the A-Sun, as far as I'm concerned, FGCU and Liberty. They start conference play against one another. Should be 2 tournament teams, if you ask me also. So check them out if you can. Toe, good luck. Safe travels. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Dave Tollett joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Mark back Monday, by the way. So ranked in the top 25, and the underlying numbers, their RPI is 4. 4. That's strength of schedule, your wins, the quality of wins, the whole deal. 4th in the country.
It's pretty hard to be a Florida team in baseball because, most Florida teams play other Florida teams.
Mm-hmm. FGCU not playing Miami this year, which is unusual.
Oh, really?
Yes. First time in a long time.
Yeah.
They usually play 3 games a year against each other, 2 in Miami and 1 at FGCU.
Yep.
Miami not on FGCU's schedule this year, and I don't think Florida is either. Like Florida did a home-and-home with Jacksonville, and I think they've played a few others, but I don't believe that Florida is on FGCU's schedule. If they are, I miss it. So just throwing that out. That's why that Florida State series was so huge.
Yeah.
But the at Troy wins, I'm telling you, will rank. Don't be surprised if Troy is in the NCAA tournament also. And when FGCU made the tournament, the only time the baseball programs made the tournament in 2017, they ended up winning the A-Sun tournament. But they had to do it early in the tournament through the losers bracket. They lost the second game of the tournament. And earlier that season, they had beaten Miami, they'd beaten Florida, they'd beaten Florida State, and they were right there for an at-large, even when they lost the second game in the A-Sun tournament, because they had wins like this early in the season. And when FGCU's done what they've done in the last week in baseball, it's tough to be the last team standing in your conference tournament. You got to win 4 or 5 games in like 4 or 5 days. It's tough to do. It's a conference baseball tournament is very much a crapshoot. Well, in the bigger conference tournaments, so many teams get bids, it's okay. But in the A-Sun, very rarely does the second team get a bid. And if you look at FGCU right now, that's why this FAMU series, win it, take even 2 out of 3, accrue those RPI points, and then come home.
It's no different than these college basketball tournaments.
Exactly. It's the mid-major in hoops who's done enough non-conference that if by chance they lose in their conference tournament, they still get the at-large.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone, on 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Girl, to be with you is my favorite thing. My parents went to a Casey and the Sunshine Band concert, didn't even tell me. I love Casey and the Sunshine Band. I want to put on my boogie shoes and boogie with you. Or stop.
I'll give you another example. We did the Super Bowl, Chiefs Niners. And the night before the Super Bowl, Troy said to me, "What's the thing you're most interested in?" And I said, "I have no idea how they're going to cover Kittle. Who they're going to put on him." I go, "They don't have a linebacker." Or no, Kelsey. Okay, what are they going to do with Kelsey? And I said, you know what I think they're going to do? I think they're going to put Richard Sherman on him. I go, because Sherman can't run with any of their wide receivers. I go, so I think it's the only guy he has a chance to run with. I go, and he's bigger and more physical. And Troy thought that was interesting. And I said, I know they don't normally do it. I go, but a one-game scenario, I think they're going to line up Sherman on Kelsey. Chiefs got the ball first. 3rd and 6, Sherman on Kelsey. And he said to me, he said, when it happens, tell me. And I said, okay. And so 3rd and 6, I said, no, I hit the button. I talk in his ear.
Oh, gotcha.
And so I just hit the button and I said, look who's guarding Kelsey. So that's the type of things that I do. Like when Gary and Troy are busy doing the replays, the things they miss is they miss who's coming on and off the field. And then when they're done with the replay, there's only like 7 seconds before the next play. And it's tough to sometimes figure out who's on the field. And so I will say to him, like, hey, they're in nickel. Usually I'll go defense first. I'll go, they're in dime. I said, offense is in 2 tight ends. I said, but look, we got one-on-one top of the screen. Like if there's an interesting wide receiver corner matchup or a certain corner's not on the number 1 wide receiver this time. So things like that I only have a few seconds to tell him because he's got voices in his ear and the whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
But like, that's what I will say. I'll go, they're in dime, 2 tight ends, and that's it. I got 3 seconds, but I'll let him know because if you're at a game live, I mean, there's 12 guys coming on and off the field on every play. The NFL game in particular is so specialized that even though there's far fewer players, to know the personnel is a lot harder.
Yes.
Because it literally changes every play. It doesn't change every play in college.
And unless you have cameras, I mean, you have to rely on the numbers. You have to remember that the names associated with said number. It's hard. I'll tell you, it's hard to follow like all of football.
So things like that. That's what I do. And then also it's just an extra set of eyes. Like in football, it's like boxing. You can't watch both boxers at the same time.
Right.
Well, in football, you're either watching downfield or behind the line of scrimmage, but you ain't watching both. So
let me ask you
usually
something.
I try to look where I know they're not looking.
Here's a question. For an NFL fan, what do you think is the best spot on the field to keep your eyes on before a play?
Well, before a play, I would say the secondary. Okay, what the 2 quarterbacks have taught me is the free safety dictates everything on that side of the ball usually. If you were to just watch the free safety in the 3 to 5 seconds before the snap, you would know exactly how the defense is playing that play. It tells you a lot. And that's why the quarterbacks wait as long as they do.
Come back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes after the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. A couple things. 1, Mark will be back on Monday. 2, good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. That stuff's all coming up in about 20 minutes time. Karl Smesko, the women's coach at FGCU, scheduled to join us here coming up momentarily. He's actually working right now. I mean, he's conducting practice. So I appreciate the coach actually, taking the cell phone onto the court with him and taking the time to take a few minutes for us. The women of FGCU, nationally ranked once again in the coaches poll, 31 wins, yet they need number 32. They need that ASUN Women's Championship to guarantee another spot in the dance. They're hosting Liberty, top 2 teams in the conference. Karl Smesko joining us once again. Coach, thanks for your time. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
All right. In the semis, offensively, normally you guys score around 80. You didn't even get to 60. How much of that did you think was you, and how much of that did you think was Austin Peay?
Well, I give Austin Peay a lot of credit. They were really physical. They were locked in defensively. And they were really trying to slow down the pace. They were taking a lot of time on their offensive possessions. And, we like to get up and down. So I thought they did a pretty good job controlling tempo and
making us take tougher shots than we usually have to.
But you won, and you've won 13 in a row, but you're facing Liberty, who finally got you on the road a couple months back. They haven't lost in a long time either. What problems do they present?
Well, they're a really talented team. They've won 17 in a row. They got off to a slow start the first month, but since then they've been a top 25 level program. I mean, they've just played great basketball. They have, big post players who are excellent finishers around the rim, and then they got shooters all over the court, and they got some guards who are great at getting downhill and attacking the basket. So, they have a lot of weapons and a lot of depth, and it should be a great game. We're hoping, to fill the arena and have a great home court advantage.
Tomorrow night, 7:00, Alico Arena. Last chance to get a look at the women of FGCU, nationally ranked in the coaches poll, getting votes in the AP poll, winners of 13 straight, 31 wins on this season. All right. Is this and I maybe am dumbing this down, but is this where they shoot twos and you shoot threes and whoever does it better wins?
Well, no, I mean, that's the maybe how Liberty used to play. This year they've shot the most threes they have in their program's history. They've kind of changed their style a little bit, and they're utilizing the 3-point shot a lot more. And when we were there, they shot 50% from three. And we have to be able to respect their 3-point shooters, but at the same time, try not to leave our post players one-on-one with their posts.
Listen, you're known for a few things, one of which is you allow kids to play their way through foul trouble. Do you coach any differently in a championship game? Like, do you go shorter bench? Are you more willing to maybe throw somebody in earlier if someone is struggling? Do you do anything different in a title game versus a Thursday in the regular season?
I would say the only thing different is, in most games, if we get off to a slow start, like, a week ago or so at Lipscomb, we got off to a real slow start. I won't use a timeout. I'll make our players play their way through it. But when you're in like a title game, if you're struggling and you need to be settled down, I'd be more likely to use a timeout just to get us refocused and reorganized. But, as for foul trouble and things like that, we're going to play it the same way we always do.
All right, 2 questions left, and I appreciate you kind of stepping away from practice to do this. And I'm sure you're not going to be crazy about me bringing this up, but it was a shock to everyone around the program last year when your 30-plus win team with a WNBA player on it won the conference and got a 12 seed. Because that was, if you go by seedings, that was the committee's way of saying if you didn't win the conference, you weren't going to get in. First, did you ever get an answer as to whether or not that was true, or did you just get a bad seeding? Because obviously it's got everybody scared this time around. You're nationally ranked, 31 wins. And the thought is, well, come on, you got to be a tournament team. But based on what the committee did last year, you're not.
Yeah, based on what the committee has done, the last couple years. I mean, we always have a team that, is a legitimate, 5 seed, 6 seed in terms of ability. And that's why every year when we're a 12 seed, we either win or we lose in overtime. We're always in the game because that's really where we kind of grade out. But we all know how this works is, when you're a power 5, you've got like 15 chances to play your way in. And when you're a mid-major, they give you like 15, 20 chances to play your way out. Any loss is considered a bad loss, and that's the one why you didn't get in. So in short, we need everybody at this game, and we need to take care of business Saturday because we have a team that can win games in the NCAA tournament, and we got to make sure that we win to get there.
All right. Karl Smesko, women's basketball coach at FGCU. Final question. Besides the obvious, which is, if we shoot great from beyond the arc, we're going to win. Besides that obvious, give me one key to beating Liberty tomorrow night?
Well, I would look at maybe the pace of the game. Like the more up and down it is, the more we're playing our style. I mean, I think that would be one of the keys.
Coach, thanks for doing this. Appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow night.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.
Karl Smesko, women's basketball coach at FGCU. They're ranked 23rd in the coaches poll, getting votes in the AP poll, have a net in the 40s, and yet, based on last year, Felipe, I mean, when they got a 12 seed last year, and first off, they had to play Vatech in the first round last year, who was a top 20 team in both polls and as a 5 seed, and Vatech was furious. Like, are you serious? Our reward for our season is we got to play FGCU with a WNBA first round pick on it. And that was a one possession game that FGCU won, but
Yes.
Vatech was furious. Michigan the year before was furious at the committee, furious that they got FGCU in the first round. They were a top 20 team in both polls in a 6-11 matchup. Charlie Cream is like damn near the only legitimate women's basketball bracketologist for ESPN. He's at FGCU as an 11 seed for 6 weeks now. And that's with them winning the ASUN. Because next to it, it's FGCU-AQ, automatic qualifier. Well, what if they lose tomorrow and they're 31-4? See, FGCU went through this in 2016. They had a long winning streak. In fact, they hadn't lost an ASUN game all year. They got beat at the buzzer in an ASUN final at home by 2. And they had 30-plus wins. And they didn't go to the tournament.
They got to win.
And they had beaten 2 teams who had top 7 seeds in the tournament on the road, and they didn't get a bid.
It's going to go down Saturday night. I think it's going to be a phenomenal game.
Well, the game at Liberty was tremendous. It was up and down, fast-paced. FGCU missed some free throws at the end and got beaten overtime. FGCU Liberty tomorrow night, 7 o'clock.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I really like that Richard Sherman story that you told. That's really cool. Because it makes sense. I mean, he's big, and
it was a hunch. I mean, who knows? But
yeah.
either way, I mean, the fact that I was right wasn't important, but that matchup I thought was key. I'm like, how are the Niners going to account for Kelce?
Yeah.
And I just thought Sherman can't run with the wide receivers. And if
Right.
you remember, fourth quarter, they put Sherman on Sammy Watkins, and Sammy made him pay twice.
He dusted him.
All right.
Dusted
Ran
him.
right by him both times.
Yeah.
All right. So
now, when you have an oracle moment like that, I guess, where you predict something, I know it doesn't matter that you're right. Does Troy ever look at? Did Troy ever give you that look? Like,
there's 150 plays in the game. Yeah. I mean, we occasional fist bump, nudge, what have you.
Nice.
Yeah. But here's the thing. It's like umpiring. Okay. Doesn't matter how many you get right. It matters if you get one wrong. One.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I made one mistake with Joe Buck. One in 4 years. One. All right.
Yeah.
And trust me,
we
both remember it.
If there's a stage not to mess up,
exactly.
It's that one.
When a few million people, when you're given information that's going to be spit out to millions, you got to be right. This ain't Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. You got to be right.
Again. Ooh, sorry, echo there. Again, it's hard. We talked about this yesterday. The fact that just the conference schedule is scheduled at this time every year, and it conflicts with the last Saturday.
Right, and there'll be no students.
I hope that people show up. I really do.
Well, they'll get their 1,800 to 2,000 who show up for their games.
Yeah.
The thing is, if this were played when the kids were on campus, since it's a championship game, I actually think, and it's at 7:00, that there's a chance of 1,000 kids going, well, hell, let's go to the game and then we'll go out afterwards.
Right.
Right.
Celebrate.
But there's no kids on campus.
I know. It sucks.
Right. And also, you guys bring the energy.
Right.
I mean,
oh my gosh.
The average age of the 1,800 that'll be there is 74. And I say that affectionately because I broadcasted to them for 20 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. By the way, I have a good, bad, and ugly.
Really?
I do. It's sports.
Okay. I'll let you take a shot at it. I'll let you take a crack.
And you got today was day one?
I do.
Awesome. Ten seconds. Jolly good show. Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until the top of the hour, 16 or so until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mark will be back on Monday. Good job, Felipe. A, the last 2 days. B, did not fall asleep once. And C, fighting your way, because I know you've been a little under the weather, Although you're a little better off today than yesterday. Good job.
MJ flu game style.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, my goodness. Right. Yes, it's exactly what I thought. In between commercial breaks, I was running over to that side. I was carrying you
Towel on my head.
Right.
Towel on my head.
We were, giving you fluids and what have you. I was carrying you back. Okay. Towel over your head. You would, get us back on the air. Right. No doubt. Barely had the strength to pick up the phone and call our guests. Yes. Very much. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking MJ the flu game. Right.
You heard that?
Unbelievable.
Oh, that was the sound of one of Mark's balls hitting the drink.
Unbelievable. All right. Do not tempt the gods that way. All right. But good job. Thanks for your help these past couple days. Mark will be back on Monday. All right. Which do you want to do first?
No. You got to go first.
Do I?
Yeah. We have an order here.
Well, listen, I don't really pay. This is Mark's segment.
Right.
I don't really pay attention.
This is when you get ready for the end of the show.
Right.
Or for what's on tap.
I sleep through the first part, and that's why occasionally he goes, "What did I miss?" And I mentioned something. He goes, "No, actually, I had that." I went, "Oh, okay. All right." Hey, he sleeps through the starting five. I get to sleep through something he does.
All right, you first.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1876. First phone call. Alexander Graham Bell says, "Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you."
Whoa.
First phone call. 147 years ago today. So think about that when you see all the AT&T and Verizon commercials watching your hoops these next couple days.
There you go.
On this day in 1959, Dorothy Comiskey Rigney sells her 54% share of the White Sox to Bill Veeck. And we all know what franchises go for these days. Bill Veeck bought over half of the White Sox 64 years ago today for $27 million.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's a Kelly Olynyk's contract now, I think.
Pete Rose made his spring training debut today. He in Tampa, by the way. He had hits in his first two at-bats for the Reds. Great line about Rose in 63 as Rookie of the Year. He would win Rookie of the Year. It would be Stan Musial's last season. And Musial in his final game got 2 hits. And so when the time came 15 or so years later that Rose passed Musial as the all-time National League hits leader. Musial with the greatest stat in the history of sports. He had 3,630 hits, 1815 at home, 1815 on the road.
Wow.
So I believe Rose passed Musial at Shea Stadium. And so Musial was at the game, and I think it was before the game, he was asked about, hey, the inevitable, Rose is going to pass you. And he said, well, I knew that might be the guy to do it because in my final game, I got 2 hits and he got 3. So he was gaining on me from the very end.
Wow.
Wilt scored 70 today.
Yeah, it's another day in the office.
For the San Francisco Warriors in 63, he scored 70. They lost to the Syracuse Nationals in the Onondaga War Memorial. So think about this. Wilt scored 100 in Hershey in one of his many, because I think he had, 8 games? He had at least 6 games where he scored 70 or more.
Well, he averaged 50 a game that year.
No, that was 62. This was 63. Okay, but he scored 70. He's had 6 games with 70 or more points. One of the games was in Hershey. This game was at the Onondaga War Memorial, playing Syracuse. I mean, as opposed to, that the NBA played a lot of games not in these major city arenas. Simon and Garfunkel recorded the first version of The Sound of Silence today in 64. James Earl Ray pled guilty to murdering Martin Luther King Jr. on this day in 69. The Incredible Hulk debuted on this day in 78, 45 years ago today.
Was it a smash?
It was.
It was a Hulk
actually
smash.
Take a look. Okay, he turns green.
Ah.
Yes, he turns green when he becomes the Hulk. Bill Bixby. Betty Davis Eyes, released 42 years ago today by Kim Carnes. Buffy the Vampire Slayer debuted on the WB network 26 years ago today. And 20 years ago today, wish Mark could hear this, AC/DC, The Clash, Elvis Costello, The Police, and the Righteous Brothers all got into the Hall of Fame. Andy Gibb, by the way, died 35 years ago today. For those of you of a certain age that remember, Andy Gibb would have been 65 today. He died at 30. Complications from heavy drug use. Andy Gibb was 35 years ago today. Chuck Norris is 83 today. Sharon Stone is 65. I saw her naked.
Oh,
at Arts for Act in Fort Myers. Yeah, she was the featured thing, and she knew how to work the crowd. And she was raising a boatload of money. And somebody in the audience said, "I love your dress." And she said, "For $25,000, you can have it." Okay. And the lady said, "Done."
No.
And so Sharon Stone's in the middle of the audience, and she's got to take off her dress. All right. And she turns and she looks, and I happen to be there with one other person. And we went and got a tablecloth and some pins. And we were pinning right in front of everybody. We were pinning a tablecloth together as a dress. And she finished as the speaker in a tablecloth doing Arts for Act.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. So she's 65 today. Bobby Petrino is 62. Pam Oliver is also 62. Rod Woodson is 58. John Hamm is 52. Matt Kenseth is 51. Carrie Underwood is 40.
That makes me feel old.
And Justin Herbert is 25. And that was today was the day.
I got a couple additions.
All right.
So this time of the year now traumatizes me because 3 years ago today, Rudy Gobert was labeled out for his road game in Oklahoma City due to illness.
Ah, that's right.
That illness was the coronavirus.
Yes. Yes,
that
it was.
would go on to shut down the NBA and ruin the world and my sports life.
Yeah, but you make it sound like you're blaming Rudy Gobert.
No, I'm just saying that that's what started it all.
Quick anecdote. I believe it was a Wednesday because it was the ASUN semis and I was broadcasting it and the news was breaking on Twitter and what have you. And FGC won, and it would turn out to be their last game of the year because the final got postponed, the tournament, and they won 30 games that year and didn't even get to go to the tournament. And so Karl Smesko comes over for the post-game interview. And there was an awkward moment where he had gotten word and I had gotten word.
Ooh.
And I always shake his hand.
Oh.
Okay. And we both kind of looked at one another. All right. Because obviously this is in its infancy. Whole bunch of news is spreading. And we just kind of looked at one another and just nodded at each other and didn't shake hands. And did the interview trying not to be too close to each other.
We could have a whole segment on stories.
All right.
This.
And he got up and we both just kind of looked at one another. And I was like, good luck in the championship on Sunday. And his voice said, okay. And his eyes said to me, I don't think we're playing Sunday.
Awful. The NBA season was doing so well.
Yes, that's definitely what I think of when the world shut down.
I'm just thinking
3
about
years ago.
myself.
Yes, that's
my
definitely,
NBA love.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, it's my turn, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've
wanted to
heard
do this.
folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
So I'm making this more of a sports themed good, bad, and ugly. And the first one isn't probably not going to sit well with a lot of you because it's more of an anniversary that I'm celebrating that was yesterday that I failed to mention. And I'm mad at myself that I didn't mention. But for the good, we celebrate the anniversary of what I believe is one of the wildest sequences in the history of the NBA. You see, yesterday was the anniversary of a play that Dwayne Wade made against the Chicago Bulls.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious. I'm
serious?
in
March.
I have.
Okay. All right.
Johnson has the ball.
All right.
Game
Just
time.
Play the.
All right.
With 6.
Not a good matchup right here for the Heat.
Thomas, Wade with a steal, with 2. Wade puts it up for the win. Yeah, baby! He did it! Dwayne Wade with the steal and the game winner. Do you believe that?
That is why I'm wearing this jersey that I'm wearing today, because I need to pay respect to the greatest athlete in the history of Miami. Dan Marino, step aside.
Wow.
Dwayne Wade.
Them's fighting words.
3 rings.
Right. Well, it was all his doing.
In 06 it was.
It was all his doing. Well, it was. The refs helped. I got to tell you.
Stop it. For David Moulton. I'm just kidding. For the back, there seems to be an epidemic going on in the NBA where players are injuring themselves during warmups. You see, you might have heard Kevin Durant 2 nights ago was supposed to make his home debut and rolled his ankle. I guess he slipped on a wet spot or something and was out for the rest of the game. Or didn't play in the game. Jonathan Kuminga last night did the exact same thing and suffered the exact same injury. So,
of course, you need to tell everyone who he is and where he plays.
Jonathan Kuminga plays for the Golden State Warriors.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A little different than Kevin Durant.
Mob boys. Bad. Clean up your floors.
And finally.
And for the ugly, we go to LA a couple nights ago where Fred VanVleet received his 8th technical foul of the season by referee Ben Taylor. And in the post-game interview, just put on a masterful roast of NBA referee Ben Taylor. You got to listen to this.
I mean, I don't mind. I'll take a fine. I don't really care. I thought, Ben Taylor was terrible tonight. I thought that on most nights, a couple of out of the 3, there's 1 or 2 that just the game up, and it's been like that a couple games in a row. Denver was tough, obviously. You come out tonight, you're competing pretty hard. The third quarter, I get a bullshit tech, changes the whole dynamic of the game, changes the whole flow of the game. And, most of the refs are trying hard. I like a lot of the refs are trying hard. They're pretty fair. They communicate well. And then you got the other ones who just want to be dicks and just kind of the game up. Nobody's coming to see that. They come to see the players. And I think we're losing a little bit of the fabric of what the NBA is and was. And it's been disappointing this season. You could look up most of my texts this year have been with Ben Taylor officiating. So at a certain point as a player, you feel it's personal. And it's never a good place to be. That's not why we lost tonight. We got outplayed. But it definitely makes it tougher to overcome.
Cost him $30,000.
It's worth it.
I think it was worth it. I think that's the type of stuff that makes you start liking Fred VanVleet.
I understand the league has to fine him, but
he said it. I'll take the fine. I don't care.
30 is pretty light, actually, when you consider it. All right.
That was the good, the bad, the ugly.
So 3 Florida basketball teams still playing. UCF's taking on Memphis in their conference tournament. Miami's taking on Duke. And FAU in the semis of their tournament. All right. And they are taking on Middle Tennessee State. FAU game at 12:30, by the way. The Miami game is 7:00 tonight. Heat in action. They're hosting the Cavs again. They lost to Cleveland on Wednesday. Pay attention to the Brooklyn at Minnesota game. Miami 3 back in the loss column with the Nets trying to get out of the play-in scenario. Just 2 NHL games tonight. Panthers are one of them. They're hosting the Blackhawks. And some news in the NHL, the Flyers fired their general manager moments ago, Cliff Fletcher. He didn't do a damn thing at the deadline. And they had a bunch of veterans who they should have gotten rid of and gotten something for, and he didn't do a thing. So too little, too late, but Cliff Fletcher out as Flyers general manager. And the Dolphins freed up $11 million in cap room today by rearranging Teron Armstead's contract. So that's what's gone on this morning in sports. Felipe, thanks again. Have a great weekend.
Of course. Safe travels.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Mark will be back on Monday. Miller and Moulton.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer